Good evening and welcome to La Reale for the first of two French rounds in the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. The south of France is the hotbed of track racing in the country, and two of the top riders in the world count nearby Marmande as their home venue, so this event has predictably drawn a large crowd. It's only the second time that the Piste de Mijema has welcomed a final of the Long Track World Championship, the first last season taken by Mathieu Trésarier on his way to a first world title. But the top 2017 performers really struggled at the opening round of this season a month ago in Germany. In fact, the only one of the top five from last season to make it into the final in Herxheim was James Shanes of Great Britain. It's Dimitri Berger who will be the focus of the home crowd here tonight after he stole a 5-point lead from rival Martin Smolinski on the Germans' home turf. And now it's up to Smolinski to try and get his revenge in front of the current series leader's own home crowd. As we said in Germany, an exceptionally strong lineup for the World Championship in 2018. And with the addition of Stéphane Trésarier as a wildcard here in France, that takes our tally of former final winners up to an impressive 11 for tonight's meeting. Riders have just made their way around on the parade trucks. They're assembling into their ballot order, and then we'll be getting underway with tonight's presentation and an opportunity to take a full look through that field. Then, as I said, 11 former winners. It is an absolutely stacked lineup here this evening, and we've seen from the pace that was shown by these riders in practice earlier on here today that we are going to have a very competitive meeting indeed. The opening round of the season that took place at Herxheim really was rain affected. We had a delayed start for those of you who joined us on that occasion. You'll remember that. And when we did eventually get underway, the track was absolutely drenched, and that certainly affected in terms of overtaking in the early stage of that meeting. But no such problems here in the south of France. We did have wet weather yesterday, but that's only served to water the track and keep down some of the dust as we had practice earlier on here today. So the riders making their way into position, and as I said, track conditions more or less perfect. As you can see, some of the grass has been brushed aside by the riders during the practice sessions earlier on today, and track conditions have certainly changed since those practice sessions, with plenty of water being put down to try and keep back any dust that we might see as today's event goes on.
Merci. Allez, c'est avec beaucoup de plaisir, mesdames, messieurs, que vous présente le numéro 17 qui va officier ce soir.
Dimitri Berger at the opening round of this season. He'll be among the favourites here this evening, as will, of course, the reigning world champion Mathieu Trésarier. So we start to make our way through the rider presentation then, starting with the reserve riders, both from France the number 17, Gabriel Dubonard, and the number 16, Anthony Chauffeur. So those two riders will come in should there be any starting offences and so on, or indeed should there be any injuries. Of course, we don't hope for that as proceedings go on. The next rider to be introduced there was the number 15, the wildcard, Stéphane Trésarien. It looks as though we're presenting the riders in blocks of nationality. So now it's Dimitri Berger, the number 96. And we've seen the completion of our French riders here today. Martin Smolinski riding with the number 84 on his chest. Brilliant performance from him at the opening round of this 2018 season to win on home turf. Richard Hall riding with the number 134. 33-year-old former FIM gold medalist, of course, with the British World Team Championship side. Richard Hall, former winner in France. Number 95, Jesse Mustonen of Finland, 22-year-old. And from one of the younger riders in our field to the oldest rider in the field, it's Bernd Diener, one of the biggest talking points of the 2018 campaign so far. We'll come back to him as tonight's proceedings go on. Doesn't tend to favour the grass surfaces as much as he does those massive 1,000-metre tracks in Germany, but what a performer he was at the opening round. Chris Harris, the number 37. It's been a tough season for Chris, to be totally honest, both on Speedway Shale and indeed in the Long Track World Championship. Theo Piper of the Netherlands and Romano Hummel, his fellow countryman. The Netherlands really has had a bit of a resurgence in recent years with two finals of the 2018 World Championship, and of course they are former winners of the World Team Championship as well. The number 93, James Shanes. James had a solid opening round of the season, and now we're on to the top three of the world from 2017. Third place man from last season, Josef Franz. Second place man from last year, Michael Hertel. And the reigning world champion, Mathieu Trésarien, who receives the largest round of applause of the French representatives here this evening. So that's a bit of a look through our competitors for this evening's action. A full programme to look forward to of 15 heat races that will enable us to whittle down our field ahead of the semi-final stages, and then we'll cut down our field further still for the final 5 in a direct shootout for victory in the second final of this 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship.
Et on revient de blessure, mais je peux vous dire que ça n'a pas entamé sa motivation. Steven Goré est là, numéro 5. Un talent énorme avec le numéro 7, Myron Hermès. Il est impressionnant depuis quelques mois. C'est le retour d'Enzo Bernard, numéro 44. Il est dans toutes les disciplines individuelles, en 5 quarts. Il mérite des applaudissements et des encouragements. Baptiste Comblon. Et le toujours sympathique Richard de Liori.
Long Track World Champion. Winner of the first. I think it was only mechanical problems that have stopped you leading coming into this second final.
Yes, I mean, I had some mechanical issues, you know. I dropped, I would say, 10 points, you know. At the end, it's just been 5. I could make a good stuff in the semi-final and final. I've been lucky to go in there. And it's 5 points away from the leader, from Dimitri Berger. And but I'm working hard. My team is going good. We made some small changes to don't have the trouble with mechanical issues. And I'm looking forward for the race tonight, and we'll have fun out there.
Clearly one of the major things about the Long Track World Championship is the variety of different types of track. Obviously one of the traditional German sand racing tracks that we had first time out. This is something completely different on the grass, so consistency through the season is really important.
Yeah, that's quite important. I mean, this track here is also quite long, you know, so it will be quite interesting because we go to Holland as a quite short track, you know, it's a bit different. But I'm looking forward, you know, it shows which ability the rider got, you know, we got different tracks, we got 1,000-meter tracks, we got like long grass tracks where you need to let the baby run and your body need to have a lot of power in their arms, you know, it's not so easy out there. And but I think the track is nice, practice was good. I could win my start practice, I had a good lap time out there, I feel comfortable, and we will see what the weather is going to do now, but I think it looks good out there. We have no rain, not like Herxheim, and yeah, looking forward to a good meeting.
Practice obviously lets all of the riders shake off any cobwebs, get to know the track, because the track here is not well known to all of the riders. But of course the grass was deep when practice started this morning, and now of course most of the grass is gone. How different do you expect the track to be for the meeting itself?
It's not really different. That it's not hard to change. You have to understand the track. I mean, this is grass. You know, the grass is going away on the outside, building up some mouse. You know, so. But I think we find a very good setup, and every rider have to work on it. I think the most dangerous thing is always the watering of the track. I mean, when they put, like on this case of Tide, the track now, put water on it, it goes very icy. So this goes a bit interesting the way how the organizer is working. But I think now we had a very good communication at the last briefing, so they're working good, and we're looking forward for a good meeting.
The wet weather at the start of the meeting in Herxheim obviously limited the overtaking opportunities, particularly towards the beginning of the match, but towards the end it got really close and really exciting, plenty of passing. I expect we'll see that right from the beginning here today.
My personal issue, I don't want to pass, I want to win from the start.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that then.
Hopefully. Thank you very much.
Dimitri Berger of France. Dimitri, a home race for you after scoring so well in Herxheim. You must be looking forward to another big evening.
Yeah, of course. Herxheim was really well for me. But today is another day and another race, so hope I can score more points as possible, you know. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
We saw in the opening final that it was a real one-on-one battle between yourself and Martin all meeting long. Do you think that Martin will again be the rider to beat, or could we see more riders on a French grass track at a little bit of a different circumstance?
I think it will be different today because you know, Matthew or Joseph and also rider is pretty fast here, and you know, it's every Grand Prix is tough, so you know it will be hard.
You rejoin us live here in La Reale for the second final of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. You heard there the thoughts of our two top riders in the current series standings. And now we're going to take you back to have a look at what happened in the opening round of the 2018 campaign. As I said previously, it was a wet start to proceedings with a home rider eventually coming out on top. Let's take a look back and see how Martin Smolinski claimed the opening final in Herxheim. Welcome back to La Reale for continued coverage of the second final of this 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. As you can see, great scenes from overhead, and just as we had in Herxheim, a large crowd in attendance, particularly packing the start-finish straight here in the south of France. La Reale, a great destination. I was here 2 years ago for the Long Track Challenge meeting, determining the riders who qualified for the 2017 World Championship. Great action on that day during the afternoon. Looking forward to seeing how things go under the floodlights here in La Reale tonight. Look at the current championship classifications after the opening final of the season in Herxheim. And as I said previously, the top two standout performers really at that opening round, Dimitri Berger and Martin Smolinski. But the German with a couple of mechanical failures, and those really cost him in terms of outright points. Points for the World Championship, remember, scored in every single race. Each rider will get 5 heat races to try and progress through to the semi-final stages in each meeting, but every race counts towards the overall 2018 classification. So it's Berger who leads us at the moment by a 5-point margin over the unfortunate Martin Smolinski. One of the standout performances of the opening round was Bernd Diener, just a single point behind Martin Smolinski, the veteran rider, the oldest rider in the field, and he was making some fantastic starts, particularly in the second half of the meeting when it really started to matter. So he's just 6 points back from Berger towards the top of the standings. James Shane's the best performing Brit, comes into this meeting in 4th position and not too far behind either. Rider with experience around this track because he raced in that 2016 challenge on his way to earning himself a place in the World Championship, as did Jesse Mustonen, who sits 5th in the current standings. Joseph France might have hoped to score a few points more than that in the opening round, but we saw the top 3 in the world from last season all finish outside of the top 5. Joseph France was the best of the 2017 podium finishers in terms of points scored at the opening round in Herxheim. He comes into this meeting on 14 points, a point ahead of Mathieu Trésarier of France, the reigning champion, all the way down in 7th in the standings. And Michael Hertel, the runner-up from last season, only just scraped his way into the top 10 and into the semi-final stages. He comes into this meeting on 9 behind Max Dilger, of course, who was a one-off wildcard and therefore won't feature here in La Reale tonight. Richard Hall on 9 points ahead of Theo Piper, Chris Harris and Romano Hummel, who all missed out on the semi-final stages at the opening round, as did Stefan Katz, who comes into this meeting somewhat injured, it must be said. He's been limping around the pits, so hopefully that won't affect him to too great an extent. He needs a big performance to get up back inside the top 8, as does Jérôme Lespinasse. Single point for him from his 5 rides in the opening round. It was a really tough meeting for him, and he comes into this meeting something of an outsider, but he needs to pick up major points in front of his home crowd because he was knocked out in the qualification for the 2019 World Championship. So his only way now to make it into next season's World Championship as a full-time rider will be to qualify as one of the top 8 performers in this 2018 World Championship. So plenty to battle over over the course of the season, because not only have we got the World Championship title itself, of course, gold, silver and bronze medals in the FIM World Championship, so the World Championship podium, but also those all-important top places in terms of determining automatic or seeded qualification to the 2019 series. And although it's early days, we're already starting to see a pecking order developing in that opening round, and there are some riders further down the order, as we'll cover off later in today's proceedings, who have work to do to catch up overall. Just moments away then from getting the riders out onto track for the opening round of heats here in La Reale. 3 races in each round of races. 1 rider will take part in each round on a single occasion. Points over 5 rides each, with all of the riders meeting one another at various stages during proceedings, will determine 10 qualifiers through to the semi-final stage. Total points after the semi-finals will then give us our 5 finalists. So that's where things start to get a little bit mathematical, and we'll do all of the algebra when we get to that stage. But it will be the top 5 after the semi-finals, including the total points from the heats and the semis. That will give us our 5 finalists for tonight's event. Ballot was done earlier on today for the 3rd final of the season, which will take place in the Netherlands next month. More or less monthly affairs, these long track World Championship events. And as for France, we have a series of meetings in the south of France. It really is a hotbed of both speedway and long track racing. and a sport that's not particularly well known in the rest of France. There is Mâcon that's close to Lyon, a little bit further north in France, but the vast majority of the tracks are here in the south of France, near the Bordeaux area. And because the sport's well known and popular here, it does mean that we do get pretty sizable attendances when we bring a World Championship event to this territory. Less than a minute now ahead of the opening race of the day. The rider's about to be sent out onto track. As you can see there, the 666 of Romano Hummel. He'll be lining up in the red helmet colour. He gets the push off, and the riders are about to come out onto the track for the opening race of the day. So it will be Hummel who'll be going off the inside start position in red. For those of you who are familiar with Speedway, it's 5 rider races in the Long Track World Championship. The tracks are quite significantly larger. Track here in La Reale, over 700 metres compared to the largest Speedway tracks that come in around 400. Means that laps are longer, but it also means we can fit more riders up at the starting tape. So it's going to be Romano Hummel off the inside start position in the red helmet colour, the 19-year-old from the Netherlands, the reigning world number 7. Gate 2 in the blue helmet colour, it's Bernd Diener. I was talking about him ahead of this meeting, the veteran who's been showing the young guns how to do it so far this year, particularly from the start. Runner-up at the 2019 qualifier in the Czech Republic 2 weeks ago, having been on the podium, as I said previously, at the opening World Championship round at Herxheim. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour, Martin Smolinski, the round 1 winner with 5 points to make up on the current series leader. Gate 4 in yellow, that's James Shanes of Great Britain, the reigning world number 4. And the outside start position for the reigning world champion, Mathieu Trésarieux, disappointing in the opening event of 2018, looking to bounce back here tonight. As you can see, Trésarieux lined up right towards the outside of that gate 5 position. We're settled down and we're ready to go for heat number 1. Trésarieux with a decent jump. Poor start off gate 4 from James Shanes. Trésarieux's going to go all the way around the outside. Cuts back coming off turn 2 to try and move down the inside of Romano Hummel, but it's the Dutchman who holds on. The top 2 breaking away. Smolinski comes through down the inside on Bernd Diener for 3rd position. So the veteran struggling, as perhaps was predicted on grass surface compared to his 1,000-metre expertise. Early stages of this event. What a great start to proceedings in heat number 1. Nice attempted pass coming off turn 2 on the opening lap from Mathieu Trésarieux, but it was held at bay well by Romano Hummel. And it's Martin Smolinski who's now off in pursuit down the back straight. Stretching away now from a separate battle out at the back. Bernd Diener just ahead of James Shanes, who's trying to build his pace as this race goes on. Trésarieux, meanwhile, is hunting down Romano Hummel for the race lead. It's Hummel out in front, but Trésarieux getting closer with every turn of the wheel. Up as wide as they dare, these riders, right in the early part of this meeting. There's no curb crawling here. Riders going for the smoothest possible run. As out at the back, James Shanes comes down the inside of Bernd Diener, challenging for the single point. Coming in now to the final lap. Top 2 nose to tail. Trésarieux looks to the inside line. Hummel has the standard racing line and powers away coming off turn number 2, and Trésarieux made a misjudgment there going for the inside. The outside line the place to be, even in this opening block of heat races. Shanes has now got the better of Bernd Diener out the back and will collect the single point. But it's going to be a race victory in heat number 1 for Romano Hummel, ahead of Mathieu Trésarieux, who gets 2nd place. 3rd going the way of Martin Smolinski. Perhaps a bit of a surprise to see him so restricted in his opening ride, considering his massive pace advantage really at the opening round of the 2018 season. And it's Romano Hummel, who won his opening ride at Herxheim actually, but struggled after that, who takes his opening ride here in La Reale and hopes for better fortunes in the remainder of today's meeting. So it's Hummel, who just missed out on the semi-finals at the opening final of the 2018 season by a single point, who comes up with a good start in heat number 1. The inside start position working well for him. Trésarieux was away very well off the very outside gate, it must be said, and he managed to round 2 of them, cut back coming off turn 2, but Hummel was up where he wanted to be, out wide, and pulled clear down the back straight. From there, the battle was about the points in the minor placings, and Bernd Diener battling with James Shanes over the single point. Martin Smolinski claiming 2 and coming over the line for 3rd position. Now building up for heat number 2. As we take a look back at what happens in race 1. As I said, Tresaria, nice smooth run, wide arc into turn 1, but he went for the cutback off the second bend. And Hummel was up where he wanted to be on the outside line and powered away for the 4 race points. Now moving on then to heat number 2, the inside start position here will be with Josef Franz. There he is, the number 444, veteran from the Czech Republic. On great form in Speedway in 2018, but conversely not at his best on the long track scene. Finished surprisingly down in 7th in the qualifier at his home country 2 weeks ago. Not quite at his best at the opening round of this World Championship season either. 14 points and 6th in the standings so far. Josef Franz goes off gate number 1. Gate 2 in blue, Stéphane Tresaria, the wild card from France, former final winner. Gate 3 in white, Stefan Katt of Germany. Gate 4, Jesse Mustonen of Finland. And from the very outside start position, Jérôme Lespinasse. We've already covered his struggles so far in 2018. Great start off too. Stéphane Tresaria is the first away, and Lespinasse has made a good one from the very outside. Their 3 are best because Josef Franz is trying to cover the inside ground. He's done so well to come through into second. Tresaria up on one wheel, but he's the race leader. Franz under pressure here in second place. Lespinasse just couldn't find the speed coming off turn 2, and Josef Franz was able to gain 1 position at very least. It's Stefan Katt who's now making progress. Battle for 3rd and 4th positions. These 2 pulling away from Jesse Mustonen, who was strong at the opening round, but looks completely off the pace in his opening ride here in France. Coming down the back straight then. Still close, as I said, for 3rd and 4th positions between Jérôme Lespinasse and Stefan Katt. Katt in the wars ahead of today's meeting with injury, getting around the outside now. Now switches back for the cutback. The rider in the white helmet colour coming down the inside for 3rd position and challenging Jérôme Lespinasse. Great battle here for 3rd. Lespinasse holds on. Katt is gaining again down the back straight. Just over a lap to go. 1st and 2nd positions looking settled. Stéphane Tresaria leads the way, but here goes Katt with another blast on the outside line on turns 3 and 4, chasing down 3rd position. Lespinasse again holds him at bay. Katt again switches to the inside line into turns 1 and 2. Mustonen only now coming into turn 1. He is well away from the pace in his opening ride. He has a lot of head scratching to do. Down the back straight again. Turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Solid start to the meeting for Mathieu Tresaria, but it is going to be Stéphane Tresaria who becomes the first French race winner of the meeting. Stéphane Tresaria, the World Championship return for the wildcards. Strong start for him off gate number 2. Jérôme Lespinasse was away, well, it has to be said, off the very outside as well, but he couldn't make it work for him. Josef Franz just creeping around the curb on the first 2 turns. That inside line hasn't worked particularly well so far, but it worked well enough for Josef Franz on the first 2 turns, and from there he held a solid 2nd position without really gaining too much on Stéphane Tresaria out in front. 2 race points collected by Jérôme Lespinasse, as you saw there, and Stefan Katt picking up the single points. Close to Lespinasse throughout, but couldn't find a way around him, and that's the key. Riders looking for the outside line, as we see the riders making their way back to their respective pit boxes, and Stéphane Tresaria there wearing the number 15 as the meeting wildcard, doing a good job in heat number 2. So 2 different winners so far of 2 different nationalities. Romano Hummel of the Netherlands, first time out in heat 1, and Stéphane Tresaria in heat number 2. Here it is again, Tresaria off gate 2 in blue. Good start, moves across the other 2 riders, straight up to the outside line. Knew that was the place to be on the basis of heat 1, and held that outside line well throughout. The battle then was for 3rd position, with Jérôme Lespinasse holding on ahead of Stefan Katt. Good job from Stéphane Tresaria in heat number 2. Now we're out onto track for the 3rd race of the day. This will bring us to the conclusion of the opening block of heat races. Michael Hertel goes in the red helmet colour for this one. Disappointing in the German round last time out. Only the 3rd time in his short long track career that he's actually missed a place on the podium. Runner-up here last season though. So Michael Hertel off the inside gate in red will be one to watch. Gate 2 in blue. Richard Hall of Great Britain has a great record in the French rounds. 2 times winner on French grass. He'll be wanting to get back among the top 8 with a good result here tonight. Gate 3 in white. Fellow Brit Chris Harris. Well, he's been a British Speedway champion, but he's not been having it as easy as many anticipated on his arrival into the Long Track World Championship. one of only 3 riders in this lineup yet to achieve a first career podium. Chris Harris goes off gate 3. Dimitri Berger, the pre-race favourite, has a good outside position on gate number 4, and Theo Piper right up against the fence on 5. Heat number 3, a little bit of edginess on the line. Harris has got away poorly. Piper's made a brilliant one from gate 5. Didn't stick to the outside coming into the first turn. He tries to cut back off turn 2, and that's not the place to be. And Mikael Hertel has gained a massive amount of ground, and Dimitri Berger is now on the outside of Theo Piper, battling away for second position, having already rounded Chris Harris. Piper a little bit too conservative into turn 3. Berger's up on the outside run. He's the only rider really using that outside to great effect. As Harris goes to the back, he's battling away with Richard Hall for the single point. The race out in front sees Berger hunting down Mikael Hertel now. Close between the top 2. Harris still narrowly holding on ahead of Hall out at the back. 2 races in 1. Tussle over the 4 points up front. Berger as close as you like now to the race leader. Mikael Hertel still holding him at bay. Berger though is getting the smoother run. Berger wide on turn 1, tries to cut back off turn 2, and Trésorier tried the same move in heat number 1. It didn't work for him, and Berger slips well back now, and that surely settles this one in terms of the top position. And Richard Hall has done nothing about Chris Harris out at the back either. Heading now into the final lap. Hertel the leader. Berger still trying to hunt him down. He tried the cut back off turn 2 last lap around. This time he gets stuck on the same racing line as Hertel. Still can't find a way past him. He's going to go wider into turn 3 and try to square it off. Down to the inside line he goes. Hertel though is up on the dirt run, and it works much better for the German, who takes the checkered flag in heat number 3. Hertel wins it then, ahead of Dimitri Berger, who's home in second. He's frustrated with that, nodding his head in frustration over the line. Theo Piper gets third, and Chris Harris collecting the single point in the minor places. 2 races in 1, as I said there, with Dimitri Berger trying to hunt down Mikael Hertel out in front. 2 of the young guns of the sport doing battle well, and Chris Harris getting the single point over Richard Hall. The 2 swapping and changing in the early part of the race, but from there it settled down. So frustration for the Brits, with just 2 points between the 3 of them in the opening round of heat races. Mikael Hertel, winner of heat number 3. Dimitri Berger in second position, gains another point in the championship standings overall for the record, with Martin Smolinski scoring just 2 in heat 1. Theo Piper 2 points in third. Didn't make best use of that strong start from the very outside gate. Couldn't get across. Well, he tried to get across, but perhaps should have gone for the smooth run around the outside line that's been working well from the outside start positions. Another look at heat number 3 then, from the start. As I said, it was a decent jump from Theo Piper off gate number 5. So good that we want to see it twice. Piper off gate number 5 then, making a good start. Looking across though, he was immediately concerned about trying to cover the inside line. Hertel had already made a good one, and perhaps it was up to Piper to go for the wider line and try and find a way through. In the event, he was unable to do so. So after the opening round of heats, then we head back to the pits to take a look at Mikael Hertel, one of 3 race winners in the opening round. Romano Hummel, the winner of heat number 1. Stefan Trésorier, the winner of heat 2. And Mikael Hertel, the winner of heat 3. The rest of the current standings for the records: 3 points for Mathieu Trésorier, Joseph France and Dimitri Berger. 2 points apiece for Martin Smolinski, Jérôme Lespinasse and Theo Piper. And a single point scored by James Shanes, Stefan Cat and Chris Harris. Yet to get off the mark, Berndina, Jesse Mustonen and Richard Hall. Frustration for them in their opening rides, but they have 4 further opportunities to try and gain back lost ground over the course of the remainder of this meeting. Mikael Hertel pleased with life after his race victory in the opening round there. Podium finisher here last season. Look at the current standings that I was just going through then. Confirmation of how they stack down after the opening block of races. Riders of 3 different nationalities victorious in the opening round. Joseph France, Mathieu Trésorier and Dimitri Berger 3 points apiece. Martin Smolinski, Theo Piper and Jérôme Lespinasse 2. James Shanes, Stefan Cat and Chris Harris 1 point apiece.
et Julien Kerr. Deuxième position pour Alex Dubrana. Troisième pour Valérie il y a du rythme. Alex Dubrana qui se rapproche de Julien Kerr. Alex Dubrana. Attention.
Welcome back to La Reale for the second final of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship, where we've seen a real change in the pecking order since the opening final of the season, as was largely expected. Completely different types of circuit from one round to another. This a traditional grass surface of over 700 metres, but compared to the 1,000-metre of the opening round in Germany, very different track surface as well, of course. The opening round traditional sandbahn of Germany, and this a grass surface here in La Reale. So consistency being key across the 2018 season, and we do tend to see in the Long Track World Championship that the rider who does best on each of the different types of surface and different types of track length, well, they are the riders who come out on top at the end of the campaign. Top two following the opening round, as a reminder, Dimitri Berger and Martin Smolinski, neither of them victorious in the opening round of heat races. We had three riders who actually didn't appear in the semi-final stages at the opening round. They were victorious in the opening round. Winner of heat number one, Romano Hummel. Winner of heat two, Stefan Tresaurier, the wild card. And winner of heat three, Michael Hertel of Germany. Now we're building up to the second round of heat races. 3 races in each round. And the riders assembling in the paddock, waiting to be called out onto track for heat number 4. Second rider of the day for Bernd Diener, who failed to score first time out in heat number 1. As we see Martin Smolinski making some preparations in pit road. 2 points first time out in heat number 1. He's got a big break until his second ride. He'll be out in heat 6, so he's got time to make adjustments, and adjustments he'll want to make because he wasn't as fast as the 2 riders ahead of him in heat 1, Romano Hummel and Mathieu Tresaurier. Martin Smolinski then, who was one of the top performers undoubtedly at the opening round. Took 5 race victories, including the final at Herxheim. Clearly has some mechanical issues to resolve in 2018, though. He retired twice from his 7 rides, and that's what's cost him coming into today's event. Martin Smolinski, not particularly experienced around this track. Missed last season's final and focused on speedway commitments through the 2017 campaign, but finished 3rd in the European grass track final here back in 2010, so does have some distant memory of it at very least. And first time out, Martin Smolinski looking a little bit off the pace that we would normally expect from him, defeated by, as I said, Romano Hummel and Mathieu Tresaurier. Not a perfect start for the French riders either. Both Mathieu and Dimitri trying the cut back to the inside off turn 2, but it's the outside line that's working well so far. And both of those riders appeared faster than their direct adversaries until they switched to the inside line to try and find a way past, on which occasion the riders ahead of them pulled away. 2 winners from the inside gate in the opening round of races. And the only rider defeated off gate 1, Josef Franz, who finished second to Stefan Trezarier, who won off gate 2. Stefan, the only rider to have scored off gate number 2 so far. It's been a poor starting position in that opening block of heat races. We'll see how the rider in blue here, Stefan Kat, fares off that unfavourable gate 2 position. Look at the lineup then for heat number 4. Bernardino goes off the inside start position in red. Took his first podium finish for some years at Herxheim a month ago. Sits third in the world, arriving here in France, but hasn't been on the podium in France since taking third at Marmande 14 years ago. And as I've said at length, prefers the German 1,000-metre tracks to the grass surfaces. So this could be another damage limitation ride for him in what really is a damage limitation meeting for him in terms of strategy in the overall World Championship. Dina goes off the inside gate, failed to score first time out. Stefan Kat off gate 2 in blue, single point to his name. Gate 3 in white, it's Jesse Mustonen who failed to score. Romano Hummel, winner first time out in heat number 1, goes off gate 4 in yellow. And Dimitri Berger goes off the very wide outside gate number 5. He scored 3 points from gate 4 last time out in heat 3. Back-to-back rides for the young Frenchman. Starting marshal settling them in then, ready to go for the second round of heats, which get underway. Flying start from Jesse Mustonen off gate number 3, and unsurprisingly, the red lights come straight on, and the rider in white, Jesse Mustonen, took a real bite at the start line there, and just hearing over my left shoulder from the referee that we're going to have a warning there given to Jesse Mustonen for moving before the tapes went up, and that's not a great surprise. Mustonen took a big old bite at the starting tapes off gate number 3, and as you can see, Mustonen making his way back towards the pits gate. We're going to see it again. It's not perhaps as clear from the front-on angle as it is from the side, but we'll see it anyway. The green light came on, starting marshal moved away, Mustonen moves. Well, it was a perfect enough anticipation. He certainly didn't touch the starting tapes, but gained a significant advantage, and enough for the referee to pull them back for a second time of asking. So it is Jesse Mustonen who will receive a warning. Got warning boards for the riders out here that will be displayed at the start line, but I don't think Mustonen will be expecting anything other than a warning for that jump start there. Failed to score first time out, Jesse Mustonen. I wonder whether the frustration and the pressure got to him there. Mustonen, who has been inconsistent so far in 2018, disappointing in the 2019 qualifier in the Czech Republic 2 weeks ago, down in 12th. 4th place at the opening round in 2018 with a win in the semi-finals. His best career result to date, Jesse Mustonen, 4th place at the opening round. So Mustonen is the first rider back up to tapes for the restaging of this one, heat number 4. Reminder of the lineup, it's Bernardino off 1, it's Stefan Kat off 2, it's Jesse Mustonen off 3, Romano Hummel off 4, and Dimitri Berger, you see him there, still waiting at the pits gate for some last-minute attention to his machine. He'll be going off the very outside gate number 5. Warning board shown in front of Jesse Mustonen, lining up on gate number 3, heat number 4. Bernardino back into line off the inside. Stefan Kat alongside him, as I said, the walking wounded here today, Stefan Kat. 38-year-old veteran. He's been limping around, but he loves this track. He was telling me stories earlier on about his first European grass track title that he won here in 2006. Made the final here last season as well. So even in the veteran stage of his career, Kat capable of making finals. He needs a big meeting today after disappointment in his home round first time out. 3 riders off the 3 inside gates have just a single point between them after the opening round of races. And the favourites will be off the 2 outside start positions, the youngsters, Romano Hummel and Dimitri Berger. Heat number 4 then, settling in for a second time of asking. Let's hope for a clean start. And we are underway. And it's Mustonen off 3 who's made the best jump. Dina is there alongside him on the inside, but Dimitri Berger like a rocket ship off turn 2. And Dimitri Berger takes a huge chunk out of the rest of his rivals down the back straight to leave them squabbling over second place. And already coming towards the end of the opening lap, it looks as though we have a race winner in heat number 4. Dimitri Berger well clear, battle over seconds. Dina trying to chase down Jesse Mustonen. Mustonen goes mid-track. Dina's on the faster part of the circuit but gets blocked out coming off turn 2. Goes for the cutback, down the back straight. Dina in a straight line is strong but has to back out of it at the last moment. Mustonen covers him off. Good race for second position here. Dina wide around the outside of turns 3 and 4. Great move from Dina to take second place away. Mustonen battling back on the inside, creeping round the curb now. Dina is where the pace is though on the inside, and using that same turn of speed out at the back. Romano Hummel goes surging around the outside of Stefan Katt for the odd point. Move for fourth position. Race leader is gone. Let's see if the riders in third and fourth positions are about to swap now. Hummel down the inside of Mustonen. Mustonen repays the compliment down the inside. Great racing to kick us off in the second round, but it's Romano Hummel who's made up 2 positions in this one now. And it's Hummel who's been confident on the outside line, and the 2 riders who really wanted to ride the inside, Mustonen and Stefan Katt, had no answer. Dimitri Berger wins it. Second over the line, Dina, more like it for him. Third place going the way of Romano Hummel, 6 points from 2 rides. He's overhauled in the meeting standings by Dimitri Berger, the winner there of heat number 4. And disappointment for Stefan Katt out at the back. He and Jesse Mustonen struggling for pace have just 1 point between them then after their opening 2 rides. There's confirmation of the result. Jesse Mustonen making a decent start, the rider in the white helmet colour, off gate number 3. Berger soaring around the outside. That was absolutely superb on the first 2 turns. And there was no one in his way. Nobody else had gone as bold or as wide on the first 2 turns. Berger receiving the congratulations of his team, using the outside line to good effect. The first race winner from gate number 5, Berger all the way around the outside of them on turns 1 and 2 and away to the race victory. See it again here from Berger. Mustonen, you can see off 3, has made a good one, move straight across the front of Hummel down into the first turn, and it should be Mustonen who picks it up. Dina challenging him on the inside line, and there goes the move from Berger all the way around the outside. Sensational from him. Actually, if anything, it looked like a bit of an anticipation again there from Jesse Mustonen of gate number 3. Dimitri Berger, though, soaring from way back. He's 4th or 5th position going into turn 1 and clears the pack and disappears. Brilliant ride from Dimitri Berger there in heat number 4. Out onto track now for heat 5. A look at the lineup for this one. And we see another of our round 1 heat winners. Romano Hummel losing his maximum hopes there last time out in heat number 4. In heat 5, we've got Stéphane Trésarieux going off the inside gate position in reds. Alongside Stéphane, gate 2 in blue, will be Jérôme Lespinasse. Lespinasse scoring 2 points first time out. Gate 3 in white, James Shanes, just a single point to his name. Gate 4, Mathieu Trésarieux, 3 points from his opening ride. And Richard Hall has the outside gate. Dimitri Berger used it to good effect last time out in heat 4. Hall needs to do the same. The only rider of this quintet to fail to score first time out. There you see the riders across the tapes. Trésarieux on the inside, Lespinasse off 2, Shanes off 3, Trésarieux 4, Mathieu, and gate number 5 is with Richard Hall. See Jérôme Lespinasse there, one of 3 French riders lining up in this one against 2 Brits. Could almost be a World Team Championship race. Takes rise. Good one from Hall from 5. Decent start from Stéphane Trésarieux as well, and Mathieu and Jérôme clash on the way down to the first turn, and it's Mathieu who eventually finds his way past and into 4th position, but the group has pulled away. Shanes then moves to block Mathieu Trésarieux, who tries to recover on the inside line into turn 3, but it doesn't work for him. He's had to reach wide in the end, the outside the place to be. The end of the opening lap then, it's Richard Hall, who was scoreless first time out, who leads, and here goes Shanes, diving down the inside of Stéphane Trésarieux for second place. Trésarieux back around the outside of him then for P2. Shanes relegated to 3rd, and having run the inside line coming off the second turn, it's Mathieu Trésarieux who now has the speed. The top 4 have broken well and truly clear of Jérôme Lespinasse. Stéphane Trésarieux trying to move to block James Shanes. He does so successfully. Watch for the inside move now from Richard Hall. They're 3 abreast around turns 1 and 2, and here comes Shanes in the dirt. Tags the fence down the back straight, but manages to get around the outside of Mathieu Trésorier. So somehow, Richard Hall has gone from first to fourth ahead of the final lap. Hall cuts back off turn 4. Here goes Mathieu Trésorier on the outside line of James Shanes. Shanes sends him up to the fence. Trésorier carries on all the way around. Shanes gets the elbows out, forceful back into turn 1. Trésorier will look to come around him again, coming off the second turn, almost side by side for second and third positions. Stéphane Trésorier has managed to break clear out in front. Great race going on though over second position. Now they've dropped Richard Hall. Checkered flag about to fly, and it's going to be a second win for Stéphane Trésorier. Second over the line, James Shanes, and third going the way of Mathieu Trésorier. But whatever the result of that one, that was stunning racing in heat number 5. And I would go as far as to say that is the best race of the season so far in 2018. 3 or 4 abreast at one stage halfway through the race. You don't see that too often. Stéphane Trésorier it is who takes the race victory and 4 points. James Shanes second over the line for 3. 2 points from Mathieu Trésorier. He had to work hard in that one. Richard Hall a single point. He was the leader at the half race distance, Richard Hall, and ends up scoring just a single point. Jérôme Lespinasse failing to score, but he had the best view of the action ahead of him. Well, it's going to be rare that someone will have to work harder than that for a race victory, but Stéphane Trésorier, the wild card there, wearing that number 15 race jacket, has made it 2 wins out of 2. And here's a look at the highlights of that race. What an incredible race it was. Trésorier gets a bit of lift in the run down to the first turn, but there's the clash I was talking about. Mathieu tried to come across, Jérôme Lespinasse held firm, and at this stage Mathieu Trésorier is down in 5th position, picks off Lespinasse quickly enough to move through to 4th. Here it is again. Good gate from Richard Hall off 5, but watch for Mathieu Trésorier. Comes across the front of James Shanes, but he catches Jérôme Lespinasse. It sends him to the back. Richard Hall picks it up. Behind him it's Stéphane Trésorier, but what we didn't know at this stage was that they were all about to switch anyway. Here's the moment where they almost went 4 abreast. James Shanes was 4th, Hall was backed out of the way, through up the inside came Mathieu Trésorier. Shanes went and tagged the fence coming off turn 2. An incredible piece of long track action in heat number 5. Well, let's see if heat 6 can live up to that. That was amazing. Inside gate, Theo Piper in red. 2 points first time out. Gate 2 in blue, Chris Harris, there he is, a single point to his name. Gate 3 in white, Joseph France. 3 points in the opening round, the only rider not to win from the inside gate in round 1. Gate number 4, Mikhail Hertel in yellow, winner of heat 3. And Martin Smolinski off the outside gate. We saw him working hard mechanically as the riders off gate 3 and 4 debate about their respective starting positions. Mikhail Hertel wants Joseph France to move over. France refuses. The starting marshal has told them they need to separate themselves, but he's not really saying too much about which one needs to budge, and the referee has just pointed down to Joseph France to move across slightly on gate number 3, and France has lost that psychological battle and in the end has to move over to find a new portion of track that he fancies. France, though, is, well, not going to be a lot of patience up here in race control as France settles in, but eventually he's in position. Heat number 6 then, heat 5, outstanding action last time out. Piper, Harris, France, Hertel and Smolinski. Poor start off gate 3 from Joseph France. Smolinski's made a good one off 5. Hertel cuts across the pack, and that leaves plenty of room for Smolinski. There he goes off turn 2 to hit the front. Battle for 3rd position now. Harris holds it, Piper wants it. Piper has the inside line and 3 goes. He sends Harris wide though. That's where Harris wants to be anyway. And Chris Harris comes around the outside for 3rd position. Race lead looking settled already. Germans 1 and 2. Smolinski leads Hertel. Chris Harris in 3rd position, having defended well there against the attack of Theo Piper. Piper coming back down the back straight. Harris has had a really tough start to this 2018 Long Track World Championship. He could do with a good few consistent race finishes under his belt. Scored a single point first time out, Harris. He's in line for 2 in this one. Piper gaining on him into the pit's turn. The recognisable style of Chris Harris as the rider up ahead of him in 2nd position gets a little bit out of shape there. Mikhail Hertel coming off turn 2. But the gap's fairly static now between the riders ahead of this final lap. Smolinski, the class of the field, then leads. This will be his first race victory of the day. Much needed results for the German. Pulling clear once again down the back straight. Harris has seen off the challenge of Theo Piper. This is going to be the worst score anyone's put in from the inside gate so far, so frustration for Piper. Hasn't been able to use that gate one well. Smolinski roared around the outside brilliantly on the first two turns, and he takes the checkered flag in heat 6. Smolinski is there first, Hertel in second. Chris Harris gets third place. Theo Piper the single point, and disappointment for Josef Franz, failing to score in that one. We have seen a couple of surprise results so far in this meeting, and that would probably go down as one of them. Josef Franz will not be pleased to have failed to score there in heat number 6. It's going to leave him with work to do just to make the semi-final stages now. Martin Smolinski certainly well on his way, as is Mikael Hertel, who drops his first point of this meeting. And 2 of the 3 winners from round number 1 drop a single point in round 2, and we now have a clear meeting leader for the first time. Stéphane Trésorier with 2 wins out of 2. Sits ahead of Dimitri Berger and Mikael Hertel, each on 7. Smolinski will be much more satisfied about that. Powering around the outside line on the first 2 turns, hitting the front, down the back straight and clearing off. He said to us, as you heard in the pre-meeting interview, that he was after a series of fast starts and not having to do any hard work. Well, Smolinski made it look easy in that one, around the outside line on the first 2 turns. The outside is undeniably the place to be, and the fastest rider to the outside has tended to fare well on the first 2 turns. Whether the riders are really watching one another's races to see that kind of strategy, I couldn't say. They've got a platform to be watching from on turn number 1, just in front of the pit area. But Smolinski certainly got the strategy absolutely right there in the run down to turn number 1. Hertel probably got it wrong. Too concerned about covering off the 3 riders on the inside of him. See it again here from the start, heat number 6. Smolinski off the very outside, the far left of your screen in the green helmet colour. Hertel getting a lot of lift. He's covered 1, he's covered 2, he's covered 3. He gets the inside line, but Smolinski is where the grip is, up on the outside, smooth run, and powers past, and away he's gone. You don't see anything of Smolinski again. From there, the battle is over 3rd position between Harris and Piper. But as I say, perhaps Hertel should have gone for trying to block out Smolinski on the outside line. The outside has been the place to be. Hertel and Smolinski both making good ones. Hertel with a bit of lift though. Franz in particular poor off gate number 3. Hertel covering off Harris. And from there, Harris holding on to the minor placings. But here is the big move again from Smolinski. And you can see, even on slow motion, Smolinski looks fast. That's the pace he had around the outside line coming off turn number 2. The riders, as you saw, coming past the home straight and the large attendance on the home straight, where the vast majority of the crowd is packed here today. Good race victory from Smolinski, his first of the day here in La Reale. Moves up into 4th position in the standings overall, alongside Romano Hummel, who's also once been a race winner, and ahead of a pack of riders behind, battling over the minor places ahead of the semi-final stages. We're 6 races through, 15 heats in total, then 2 semi-finals and a final. 18 races in the second final of the Long Track World Championship in 2018 here in France. Great ride from Smolinski then in heat number 6. Sits on 6 points alongside Romano Hummel. As I was saying, the pair tied on 6 points apiece. Stéphane Trésorier is your meeting leader though on 8, ahead of Dimitri Berger and Mikael Hertel, who've each dropped a single point. Mathieu Trésorier 5 points from 2 rides. He's got a bit of ground to make up on the top performers, notably on Smolinski and Berger, the top 2 in the championship standings. James Shane's 4 points. Berntina, Josef Franz, Theo Piper, Chris Harris all on 3. That's what I was talking about, the battle covering the last of the automatic transfer spots to the semi-final stages. The top 10, remember, move through to the semis. Jérôme Lespinasse on 2, outside of that qualification zone as well after failing to score last time out. Stefan Katt, Richard Hall and Jesse Mustonen on a single point apiece. They still have work to do in the remaining 3 rounds of heats here in La Reale. Stéphane Trésorier, who is going to say a few words in French about the opening 2 rounds of heats. Stéphane, 2 victoires comme départ, c'est parfait.
Oui, je pouvais pas commencer mieux, bien sûr. 2 bons départs, et puis voilà, j'ai la vitesse. J'aime cette piste, je trouve les bonnes trajectoires, donc je suis ravi de ces 2 premières victoires.
Stéphane just explaining that he's delighted with the opening 2 victories, 2 good starts, and then finding the right lines on the racetrack so far, and that's helped him to this meeting lead. Comme leader au classement provisoire de cet événement, maintenant c'est la victoire, non?
Je suis venu pour ça à la base, donc je veux montrer que je suis encore performant en championnat du monde devant mon public, donc je vais tout faire pour aller jusqu'au bout.
Stéphane says that yes, indeed, now the target is to make it through to the final and to take victory in front of his home crowd, and we'll see if that proves to be possible in the remainder of the meeting. Ici, comme wildcard, Stéphane, l'objectif c'est d'être un peu plus relax peut-être et de gagner évidemment.
Oui, c'est ça, ici c'est pour me faire plaisir, c'est du bonus, et comme j'ai dit tout à l'heure, devant mon public, donc c'est que du bonheur, devant la famille, les amis, que du bonheur.
Félicitations pour ces 2 victoires.
Merci, thank you.
Stéphane just explaining there that he's had 2 strong race victories and that the target for him really is to keep up that kind of winning run. It's all a bonus for him because he is here as a wildcard rider, and as a wildcard rider there's no real pressure upon him, but he enjoys having an extra opportunity to perform here in front of the French fans. Joined now by Michael Hertel, and I won't challenge you to speak in French. Michael, pleased enough with your first 2 rides? Massively different compared to Herxheim, where you had a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, definitely. I struggled in Herxheim a lot because I had a little injury in my collarbone, and it hurts in Herxheim, but it is everything good now, and the first 2 heats were definitely much better than in Herxheim, and we keep going and have a look in the next few heats.
We saw quite a big change in the opening couple of rounds in terms of the riders who were towards the top of the standings compared to the opening round in Herxheim, and clearly the 2 tracks are massively different, so a completely different strategy here.
Yeah, but I think this is what all the visitors want to see. We have 5 GPs and a lot of points to score. So the 5 tracks are a lot different, and that's the GP, and that's the 15 best riders of the world, and we will see who will be the world champion at the end, and it is hard for sure.
Just a mention of your last ride there off gate number 4. Obviously, you had Martin on the outside of you. Looked like you got a little bit of lift on the way down to the first turn. You covered the 3 riders on the inside of you well, but Martin managed to get round you.
Yeah, I had a few lifts through the first corner, so I had to have a look on the inside because the inside riders were there, and the outside was working very good. And I was thinking, I know that Martin will be on the outside for sure, so I didn't shut the door completely, so he was on the outside very fast and passed me. Then he was in front, I was second, scored the points, and that's important. I think you don't have to win every heat, you just have to score the points.
Last season we saw that things were close towards the top of the standings, with yourself involved obviously in that battle. Mathieu and yourself both dropping points in the opening final of the season. Is that going to be a problem for you in the context of the championship overall?
I think there are still a lot of points to score, and the season is still very long, and we have a lot of heats. Everything can happen. For sure, we dropped a few points both, but we are on the top now, and he's running today very fast, and me is not too bad. So we will see a lot of heats to go.
Well done so far.
Thanks.
Michael Hertel then with a great performance in the opening 2 rounds of heats, the winner of heat number 3, runner-up in heat 6. Michael Hertel of Germany with a strong start for him after a tough first final of the season in Herxheim. And Romano Hummel now with us. Likewise, a tough performance or a tough final for you first time out in Herxheim. Much more like it for you so far, particularly that first ride.
Yeah, it is great. The track is good, and the bike feels now okay. Practice was a little bit, it was not so good, but now the track I like. So second start was a little bit too late, but I have to work and keep fighting.
Yeah, the first race in Herxheim, if I remember correctly, you took a race victory, but from there it sort of fell downhill. What happened there, and what do you now know that you didn't know then that you can avoid the same thing happening today?
Yeah, Herxheim in the second heat was a win. Of in the first heat was a win. The second heat I touched the tapes. In the third heat I had a flat bond, so that was not a good day for me. So today we have a new day, new chances, and yeah, we hope to be in the final.
We spoke to Mikael a couple of seconds ago. He and yourself, both young riders. We've got Jesse from Finland, Dimitri from France. A lot of young riders coming through in the Long Track World Championship, and that's really important in this sport.
Yeah, it's important to be a young rider, so the old riders gonna be a little bit out, so the new riders coming in, so that's good for the sport.
Those riders, though, have the experience. Is that something that you're sort of working up against all the time, maybe their consistency?
No, I'm riding for myself, and I keep my focus on myself and not look to other people. Yeah.
Well, we'll allow you to keep your focus on yourself, to go back to your bikes, and wish you the best of luck for the remainder of the meeting. Thank you. look at the current standings then of the opening 2 rounds of heat races here in La Reale for the second final of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. You catch me slightly out of breath as we return to commentary following a quick word with some of the top performers from the opening 2 rounds of heat. Stefan Tresario, the series leader, 8 points out of 8, satisfied with his starts and with his choice of racing lines. Romano Hummel, winner of his opening ride, keen to arrest the slide that saw him start so well in Herxheim and then slip out of contention. Here today, a strong start once again, winner first time out. And of course, Michael Hertel, who dropped his first point of the day, just explaining how he was so focused on covering the 3 riders on the inside of him in the run down to the first turn that Martin Smolinski was able to reach around and come through to take his first race victory of the day. Now we move on to the 3rd round of heat races here in La Reale. Rider in the red helmet colour, Jérôme Lespinasse. Disappointing so far, 2 points from 2 rides, tough start to the season. James Shanes goes off gate 2 in blue, 4 points from 2 rides. Great performance last time out in that frenetic heat number 5. Gate 3 in white, Berndina, 3 points in heat 4, failed to score first time out. Gate 4 in yellow, Theo Piper, 3 points from 2 rides, solid but unspectacular. And the outside gate in green, Michael Hertel, you heard from him a few moments ago, 7 points out of a possible 8. He is the clear favourite ahead of this one, heat number 7. So as I said, Jérôme Lespinasse having a tough time of it at the moment. He's the rider who needs to score most desperately here off the inside gate. The inside gate generally performing well. Had 3 heat winners out of the first 6 from gate 1. Stefan Tresario, the last winner from there in heat number 5. There is Jérôme Lespinasse off 1. Alongside him, James Shanes off gate number 2. British representative. Berndina off 3, the veteran. Failed to score first time out. Much closer to form last time around. Completing lineup for heat 7. Piper off 4. And Hertel, the pre-race favourite, off gate number 5. Referee presses the button. Hertel with a strong start from 5. Again, he tries to move straight across, this time with greater success. It's Jérôme Lespinasse on the inside of him, who's also got away well, but it's Hertel who leads it, and now coming through the field, it's Berndina to challenge Lespinasse for second. He's already cleared James Shanes. Shanes will be the next rider. They're queuing up to pass Lespinasse, who goes down to 4th position now. Shanes sets off in pursuit of Berndina. The race leaders with Michael Hertel. Hertel leads us. Dina second. Shanes cutting to the inside on 1 and 2. Battle out of the back. Next rider trying to pass Jérôme Lespinasse is Theo Piper, who's done so. They're side by side down the back straight for the race lead. Hertel having to work hard. So far, so good for him. But it's Dina squeezing around the outside on turn number 4. He's done it! Great move from Berndina. Hertel a little bit too conservative, and the youngster has been shown the way round by the veteran. Further back down the field, James Shanes has his hands full now with Theo Piper. Piper making a bit of a wrong decision there coming off turn number 2, but he had been right on James Shanes' tail. Head of the final lap now, Hertel showing the same pace as Dina out in front, but Dina picked his moment and picked his line beautifully, and I suspect caught Hertel completely by surprise. So it's going to be a second defeat, back-to-back rides for Michael Hertel. This one started so well with a good start off the very outside gate, and James Shanes has packed up. James Shanes in a scoring position, pulling up down the start-finish straight, heading into the final lap. Disappointment for Shanes, but delight for Berndina. Well, he wasn't supposed to like grass, but he's taken 7 points out of a possible 8 in his last 2 rides, and he's delighted with that. Signals to his pit crew there on turn number 1 as he passes them. Berndina, yet another different race winner. Stefan Tresario, the only double race winner. We've had 6 different race winners in 7 races so far. Berndina wins heat number 7. James Shanes pulling up in the latter stages, as I said. So 4 points from 3 rides, and that leaves him with work to do in his remaining 2 rides. He's got inside and outside gates as Dina makes his way back towards the pits as the race winner of that one. Confirmation of the result then. Dina the winner, ahead of Hertel in second. Theo Piper had been battling for 3rd place anyway, but gets it in the end. And Jérôme Lespinasse a somewhat fortuitous single point as Dina flashes past the pit camera position and away to his pit box, having been the winner of that one. The 7th race of the day. 7 points now from 3 rides for the veteran German. After a poor start first time out, that seemed to justify all the expectations of a rider who tends to prefer German long tracks. But in that one, he put in a brilliant performance. Gate number 3, you see him there swerve across the front to block Theo Piper, go up to the outside line. That's enough to get him through into second place. Lespinasse at this stage is in second, but he ends up dropping down to the back of the other riders queued up behind him to find a way past. Lespinasse scoring a somewhat fortuitous single point in the end. Dina the winner, Hendel second, Piper third, and Lespinasse the single points. Next up will be heat number 8. Martin Smolinski and Romano Hummel, 2 riders tied on 6 points apiece, go off the 2 inside gates. This is a power-packed lineup because alongside them it's Stéphane Trésarieux, who's going to face his toughest test of the meeting so far off gate 3. So far undefeated, 2 rides, 2 wins. Gate 4, Chris Harris, 3 points from 2 rides, and Jesse Mustonen completes the lineup off the very outside, just a single point from his 2 rides so far. Jesse Mustonen, who had a decent first performance of the season, but so far here today has been a struggle. Martin Smolinski just turning away from the starting line, and he'll be back into position off the inside gate. Jérôme Lespinasse making a decent jump from the inside last time out, but not really able to convert it into anything. See what Smolinski can do here. You can see that the inside portion of the circuit far greener, quite literally, than the outer portion of the circuit. Often talk in road racing about green circuits, never mean it quite so literally as we do here in long track. Heat number 8 then. Edginess before the tapes go up, and the red lights have come straight on. And we'll wait for official confirmation, but it looked like Mustonen again, and Jesse Mustonen was riding with a warning. The rider in the green helmet colour off the very outside. We'll see if we can pick up a replay of that one just to confirm. Here we go again. Jesse Mustonen on the outside, and he's certainly taken a bite at it, hasn't he? Jesse Mustonen, the referee was just standing alongside me trying to take a look at that replay. Jesse Mustonen off the very outside there. We're seeing it repeated over and over. The rider in white moved as well, but not until Mustonen had already gone, and I think Mustonen is going to go here. He was already on a warning, and Jesse Mustonen has indeed been disqualified. And that's confirmed. The green disqualification light is on in front of our start-finish straight commentary position. Mustonen, who was on a warning, we talked about that earlier on. Warnings carry on through for the rest of the meeting. Second warning for Mustonen, away he goes. Yellow card, red card. Red card sends Mustonen out of heat number 8, and we're now down to 4 riders only. And now it's going to look like a speedway start because we're going to have riders red, blue, white and yellow. Gates 1, 2, 3 and 4. And no rider off the wide outside. Jesse Mustonen disqualified as the cause of the stoppage there, with a second warning applied by the meeting referee. Well, thankfully for the referee, he hasn't had too much heavy lifting to do so far in this meeting. That's the first disqualification of the day. And we see him there, the rider in green, Jesse Mustonen, walking disconsolately back to his pit box, including his mentor, really, Aki-Pekka Mustonen, of course, a former long track world championship rider as well. And he'll need those words of encouragement and support now, Jesse Mustonen, because he's going to need massive results from his remaining 2 rides. Just 1 point from his 3 outings so far after the disqualification there in heat number 8. And you can see the frustration there for Jesse Mustonen after his disqualification in heat number 8. So here we go for a second time of asking. Martin Smolinski on the inside, Romano Hummel off 2, Stéphane Trésarieux off 3, and Chris Harris off the outside. And I'd said that the favourites were off the 3 inside start positions. This lineup is even more concentrated now, with Smolinski, Hummel and Trésarieux, 3 of the top 5 point scorers coming into this third round of heats, lining up off the 3 inside gates. 3 riders who've all won races so far. We've had 6 different race winners in the 7 races to date. Let's see if Harris can spring a surprise here and be the 7th in 8. Harris has got the very outside, and if he sticks with it and goes all the way around the outside, then he could be a danger man here. Of course, with the disqualification of a rider under starting offences, we see a reserve rider coming in, So that will be Anthony Chauffeur, the 25-year-old from France, who comes in the green helmet colour here, the track reserve, standby rider effectively, comes in case of injury, starting offence. And it's a starting offence here in heat number 8, of course, for Jesse Mustonen. So here we go then, heat number 8. To be totally honest, Chauffeur wouldn't be expected to challenge these guys, although he did have practice just the same as the others. He comes in cold. All of the other riders in this race have already had 2 heats so far. Heat number 8 gets underway for a second time of asking. Chauffeur's made a great start actually from gate number 5. Let's see what he can do around the first 2 turns. Smolinski's picked it up. Chauffeur is right in the mix. He squeezes around the outside and up into second place. And the reserve, who I wrote off before this second attempt at heat number 8, is up in second position. Romano Hummel is chasing him down now in 3rd. Chris Harris in 4th position. It's Martin Smolinski who leads it. Chauffeur loses a position there. Hummel's got the better of him and up into second place. Harris has got his hands full. Stéphane Trésorier, maximum man so far, is stuck out at the back. No one was expecting this. Here he comes, down the back straight, closing in on Harris. Harris has the inside line. Stéphane Trésorier wants to go round him on turn number 3. Can he get round him though? Harris moves to block. Stéphane Trésorier is going to have to go for the cutback off turn 4, and Harris at the moment is holding up Stéphane Trésorier. And Anthony Chauffeur is doing a great job here in 3rd position. Harris in line for the single point, but while Harris holds back Stéphane Trésorier, the young reserve rider, inexperienced at World Championship level, Anthony Chauffeur, is about to make a name for himself in heat number 8 by beating a former British Speedway Grand Prix winner into the final lap. Harris trying to settle this one down by passing Chauffeur. He's close to the tail of him. He cuts back to the inside off turn 2. Chauffeur's got to stick with it here and stick with the outside line because that's the place to be. Harris is being forced offline to make the pass. Harris goes for the inside into turn number 3. It's close up front as well. Smolinski's conservative. Hummel certainly isn't. And Romano Hummel takes the checkered flag in the run down to the line. And close behind as well, but Chauffeur holds on ahead of Chris Harris. Tell me you saw that move coming, because the battle was all over 3rd position. Smolinski had the race won, and Romano Hummel said, I don't think so. Put his back wheel up on the outside line, and through he came for the checkered flag. Brilliant riding. Well, if heat number 5 was outstanding, heat number 8 likewise, for one of those last bend moves from Romano Hummel, who takes the win ahead of Martin Smolinski. And further back, full credit to Anthony Chauffeur, who provided the entertainment for the majority of that race, holding back Chris Harris. And Stéphane Trésorier, who was unbeaten in his opening 2 rides, gets beaten up there in heat number 8 and comes in out at the back. Chris Harris has scored in each of his 3 rides so far as Stéphane Trésorier makes his way back somewhat disconsolately into the pit box. He won't understand quite what's happened there. Beaten by a reserve rider. Hummel gets the 4 points then. Smolinski pipped on the final turn. He'll have his head in his hands after that. Anthony Chauffeur, the reserve rider, curse of the commentator in a way, because I'd sort of written him off as an also-ran. Never do that at World Championship level. First lesson of the day, as Chauffeur comes over the line for the 2 race points. He made a great start, a beauty. He'll be reliving that in his dreams tonight, Anthony Chauffeur. He's looking over, he can't quite believe it. And he gets around the outside and up into second place. Doesn't take Romano Hummel long to pick off Chauffeur. But after that, he puts in a great ride to hold back Chris Harris, who couldn't find a way past him offline, and Stéphane Trésorier, who was stuck out at the back. Romano Hummel showing the way to make the overtakes right up on the outside line. Now we move on to heat 9. 2 of our French big guns going off the inside 2 gates here. Dimitri Berger off gate number 1, 7 points from 2 rides so far, he goes in red. Mathieu Trésorier, the reigning world champion, 5 points from 2 rides, he goes in blue off gate 2. Rest of the pack are outsiders, no doubt about that. These 3 have 5 points between them. Richard Hall off gate 3 in white, just 1. Joseph France, 3 points first time out, but looked poor last time around, particularly from the start. And Stefan Kat riding injured with just a single point to his name. Heat number 9 then. Starting marshal has them settled. We've seen some brilliant racing in the first half of this meeting. Oh, we've got a faller right off the line. Stefan Kat and Cat is staying down at the moment, separated from the bike. So the referee has made the decision to stop the race. And Stefan Cat, who's been hobbling around the pits, he's got injury to his leg and to his arm. He's wearing strapping on his arm and bandages on his legs with an injury sustained outside of the World Championship. And we just hope that Stefan Cat is okay. That's the first concern. Obviously 1 point from 3 rides. He's in a similar position now to Jesse Mustonen, where unless he pulls off a magnificent turnaround, he won't be making his way through to the semi-finals, let alone the final. But as I said, first concern is for the rider. Cat is up to his feet, of course. So we can only assume that that was a bit of a misjudgment, but a rider of the experience of Stefan Cat doesn't usually loop it at the start line. Gate number 5, there he is in green. Up go the tapes, up goes the front wheel, up goes the back wheel, and Stefan Cat is down spectacularly. 4 riders only then for the restaging of heat number 9. And again, 2 races in a row where the rider off the very outside gate has been disqualified. Cat just getting more grip than he wants, and up he goes. And that's going to hurt in the morning. I'm quite sure of that. Stefan Cat, who has already been beaten up in 2018, takes a perler there in heat number 9. So Berger, Tresaria, Richard Hall and Josef Franz will take their places in the rerun, and Stefan Cat has been ruled out as the cause of the stoppage there, disqualified in heat number 9. The last of the round 3 heat races, which will get back underway in a few moments' time. Just waiting at the moment for Stefan Cat's bike to be cleared. And you can see there the riders assembling on turn number 1. Cat's bike heading back towards pit lane. And so we're ready to build up for the restaging of heat number 9 with just the 4. And now it really does look like a speedway start, because we're going to have no rider off the very outside in green. 3-minute time allowance has been applied by our meeting referee, and that will call the riders back round towards the start line. 3 minutes in long track as opposed to the traditional 2-minute time allowance in speedway, catering for the fact that we've got an extra rider, of course, in each race, and that it's longer to get round to the start line. Although they've built us a handy lane here in Reale for the riders to take a shortcut up to the tapes, rather than having to go the long way around the circuit. And you can see reigning world champion Mathieu Tresaria taking that shortcut lane. As we see Stefan Cat there, just momentarily. Looking none the worse for wear, to be totally honest, Cat. Hope he is okay. Just a single point from 3 rides so far, though. He won't be okay with that. As we line up for a second time of asking for heat number 9, 4 riders only. Dimitri Berger off the inside gate in red, the top scorer of this quartet. Mathieu Tresaria off gate number 2. Home representatives off gates 1 and 2. Gate 3 in white, Richard Hall, the lowest scorer of these 4. And Josef Franz off the outside. Got to try and make that outside run count. Seeing the riders who've been bold enough to go really wide, such as Romano Hummel, have got huge turns of speed. If you put the back wheel in the right place, you really are heading away. Up fly the tapes. Franz has made a good one. Tresaria has made a better one. Franz, though, is on the outside line. He's going to run a smooth course. Watch for Josef Franz here in yellow. He's picked off 1, he's picked off 2, and he's picked off himself, to be honest, as he gets it wrong coming off turn 2. That's the danger, of course, of having to run wide to find turns of speed, that you can go a little bit too far, and that's what happened to Josef Franz there. So it's Mathieu Tresaria leading Dimitri Berger and Richard Hall at the end of the opening lap, and Josef Franz is now out of contention as far as major point scoring is concerned, but he will pick up a single point, of course, after the disqualification of Stefan Cat. And Josef Franz keeps himself more or less around the semi-final positions. We'll have a look at the classifications after 3 completed rounds of races and with 2 still to go. Mathieu Tresaria then is our race leader. Dimitri Berger trying to hunt him down. These 2 fairly evenly matched in terms of pace. You can see them blasting up to the outside line, coming off the second bend and down the back straight. Just over a lap to go, a kilometre still left in this race then. Heat number 9. But it's going to be Matteo Tresaria ahead of Dimitri Berger. Big gap then to 3rd and 4th positions. France hasn't really been able to make up much ground on Richard Hall, but he had so much ground to make up after his turn 2 dramas in the early stages. As the riders come in then to turn number 3. Matteo Tresaria becomes yet another different race winner here in La Reale. The surprises continue to flow. Dimitri Berger, just 1 drop point coming into that race, drops another with 2nd. 3rd place going the way of Richard Hall, his best result of the day so far, and Joseph France collects the consolation point. Lucky to get it, really, because he got it so wrong coming off turn number 2, Joseph France. Trying to find a way past, couldn't find a way past in the end. Well, he actually made his way past, but clipped the fence and got it all wrong and ended up in the path of the 2 riders directly behind him, who scampered around him to come through. So, heat number 9 then, going the way of Matteo Tresaria with the 4 race points. 2nd over the line, Dimitri Berger, just 2 drop points from 3 rides. 2 race points for Richard Hall, 3 from 3 outings. Single point for Joseph France, he moves on to 4, and Stefan Kat is unmoved on just the single point from his 3 rides.
Du blanc. Alors, on a vu de très belles manches également dans cette catégorie espoir. Kélinelio du blanc. Benjamin Camp du bleu. Baptiste Comblon du blanc. Jordan du Bernard du vert. Excellent départ de Jordan du Bernard.
Możemy startować czy nie? Marcin? Wchodzi mikrofon, możemy startować? Can you speak some for test?
Yep, can you hear me? This is just a sound test.
Mówi.
About to do it. Meeting, ready when you are.
Słyszysz? Wow. Be quick. Raz, dwa.
Joined here by Mathieu Trésarier. That last ride, that was a lot more like it, wasn't it? Because it's been a tough start to the defence of your world title.
Yes, it's hard because all riders are good, you know, and I don't know, just do my best, and you can see the gates. Some gates are not good, really. It's not the same. Gate 4 is unbelievable, it's very slick. And the rest of the gate is okay. So when you keep the good gate, have the good line, you know, for the first corner, and it's also only one line on the track, so it's really, really hard to pass.
And that line is really far out as well. It's a battle of the brave, isn't it, Mathieu?
Yes, it's really far away, the line, you know, it's near the fence, and I don't think we can see in the TV, but it's very quick, you know, and so when you very near the fence, nearly touch the air fence sometime, when at maybe 140 or 50 kilometers, yeah, you have to be careful a little bit, you know, and when you're in the front, it's okay, it's not easy, but it's better to see because it's not dust, and you can see it's a good line, and but when you're behind, you can try to go more outside than the rider in the front, but it's very dangerous and very hard.
Romano Hummel managed to do it, squeezing between another rider and the fence, and we saw Josef Franz try the outside on turn 2 and straight into the fence, so we can see the balance is very small. Just a word about your racing today. Obviously, Stefan is back in the World Championship paddock in as a wild card, 2 wins in his first 2 rides, so must be nice for you to be sharing a pit box with him as well.
Yeah, of course, we don't speak really because you can see he's here, I'm all next way. But yeah, Stefan is always good in France, you know, he knows the track, and I don't know, you know, he's a good rider. You can see, you don't have to be young to be a good rider, you know. You have to thinking and make the good line, and that's it, really.
As for yourself and the French crowd, nice result there with yourself and Dimitri Berger out in front, and the 2 of you will be predicted to be in the final, battling it out again.
Yeah, maybe, we never know, you know, it's a motorbike, a motorcycle, you know. Sometimes you can break something, and when you are in the front, so you never know, you have to fight to the end, and we'll see.
Well, we've seen you here win the last 2 FIM meetings, so around this circuit you know it well, and you'll be hoping to do the same again today, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. I win the last 4 times I ride, I win, you know. But it's really hard. It's really hard to win all the time. I know it's a good line on the track, but this time tonight is a little bit different than normal. So, you know.
Well, so far so good. We'll let you get on and wish you the best of luck for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
Mathieu Trésarier, so far so good for him. Well, it's a bit of a limp, isn't it, to get into our position here. Stefan Kat, hoping that you're okay after that quite dramatic incident.
Of course I'm okay now, and luckily, but yeah, I know what the problem was. I had an air bubble in my hydraulic system, so I dropped the clutch, and then it was nothing. It's not normally, I never had it before. I can't remember in my whole career, and but there was no chance for me. I couldn't drop the clutch, and bang, that's it. It's not in a moment I have pretty much of bad luck, but I mean, it's sport, it's happened, and what should I say? Shit happens. Yeah.
We know you've got a couple of injury worries as well. Is that having any effect, because you've ridden well on this track in the past, you know it well?
No, everything is fine now, luckily, and got still a little bit on my arm, but it doesn't stop me, and so everything is fine, and my body is good, my bikes are good. It's just, yeah, what should I say, a little bit of bad luck. I tried the best in my first heat on the outside, inside, but I couldn't pass him. But yeah, that's it, it's racing.
As for yourself, 1 point from the meeting so far. So you know it's about picking up big points in your remaining 2 rides now, isn't it?
It's brilliant, 1 point. No, I'm really disappointed about it. And yeah, but I mean, what should I say? What should I say is I have to do my best in the next 2 heats and hope for a bit more luck and yeah, see.
Well, we have our fingers crossed as well. We hope a bit of good luck is just around the corner for you. Best of luck.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Fourth round of heat races here in Reale. Continued coverage of this second final in the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. Lining up for heat number 10 now off the inside gate in red. It's Chris Harris, 4 points from 3 rides so far. Gate 2 in blue. It's Mikael Hertel, 10 points from his 3 rides. Star performer. Mathieu Tresaurier, gate 3 in white, 9 points, winner last time out, back-to-back races for him. Gate 4 is Berndina, 7 points from 3 rides. And completing the lineup, the winner of heats 2 and 5, Stefan Tresaurier. Heat 10 goes, takes up. Strong start from the rider in the white helmet colour, Mathieu Tresaurier, who's away well. Cutting through down the middle though, it's Stefan Tresaurier. He hits the front, cutting back, it's Mathieu. And now it's Mathieu ahead of Stefan Third position is with Mikael Hertel, challenging on the inside line. We've said that the outside so far has been the place to be. Closely packed the top three. Mathieu Stefan Trésarier ahead of Mikael Hertel in third. Chris Harris in fourth position, again in the minor placings, but ahead of Berndina, who's set to miss out in this one. Closing up for second and third positions at the moment as they tear down the back straight and into turn number 3. Well, the Trésarier brothers have done a great job so far in this meeting, but it's Mathieu who started to look stronger as it has gone on, and it's Mathieu who needs the points in the context of the World Championship, of course. Mathieu looking set for back-to-back race victories, winner of heat number 9, set for the win in heat number 10 as well. Into the final lap, Mathieu leads us, Stefan second, Mikael Hertel third, Chris Harris in fourth, and that's the way things are going to stay in this one. Into the top turn, and around turn 4 for the final time. Mathieu Trésarier takes his second win in a row, ahead of the rider in green, Stefan Trésarier. Third place goes the way of Mikael Hertel, and Chris Harris picks up the single point with disappointment out at the back for Berndina. After such a great ride in heat number 7 to take the checkered flag in heat 10, he fails to score. But Mathieu Trésarier making things look straightforward in his last 2 rides. He wins heat number 10. Stefan Trésarier in second, scores back on the board in the 4th round after failing to score in round 3. Mikael Hertel and Chris Harris, the remaining scorers in that one, heat number 10. So it's Mathieu Trésarier making his way back to the pits. We'll see again how he did it. That one was fairly straightforward for him in comparison with a couple of his previous rides, including the chaotic heat number 5. Good start off gate number 3 for Mathieu. He was looking over his shoulder, sees Hertel on the inside. Stefan Trésarier burst between the two of them. He's in the middle of the track though, and Mathieu is up on the racing line. Cuts back coming off turn 2, drills a move down the back straight and through to hit the front. Great ride from him. Moving on with the action now, and heat number 11 is next up. Richard Hall off the inside gate has 3 points to his name so far. Martin Smolinski off gate 2 on 9. Gate 3, Romano Hummel, superb last time out with that outside burst in the run down to the line to beat Smolinski. These two going head-to-head again. Smolinski looking to get revenge. Gate 4, it's Jérôme Lespinasse, 3 points from 3 rides so far, including a fortuitous single point last time out, and Josef Frank off the very outside. France, 4 points from 3 rides. Settling down then for heat number 11. Just turning away from the start line there, the rider in yellow, Jérôme Lespinasse. He and Smolinski taking a little bit of air before we get underway with this one. Things becoming increasingly critical in terms of the standings overall. Obviously, and in terms of the championship overall as well, of course. 3 riders were tied on 10 points apiece coming into this round. Smolinski and Trésarier directly behind them, but a real close spread in terms of the last of the qualification positions and the top 10. Heat 11 gets underway. France has made a good one from 5, but it's a very, very level break. France is going to go all the way around. He's got to avoid making the same mistake that he did last time out, and he does so. Josef Franz hits the front. Romano Hummel around the outside for second place. Here comes Smolinski, challenging for third. Richard Hall made a good start, but he's gone backwards so far. Smolinski is overhauled out at the back. He's gone to last position. Jérôme Lespinasse comes through. There's Hummel trying his turn 4 trick again, but it doesn't work this time. Josef Franz has the race lead. So it's Josef France looking good in this one, having made the outside burst on the first two turns. Romano Hummel tried an outside move. Battle still on for third position. Rider in the red helmet colour, Richard Hall, holding off Jérôme Lespinasse. Lespinasse looking for a way through. More competitive ride for him. He's gone backwards in his previous outings. Here he is challenging for third place. On the inside though, and the outside seemingly is the place to be. Hall has that racing line at the moment. Coming into the last lap now. France, Hummel, Hall, Lespinasse, and Smolinski is well off the pace in this one. Major surprise. Smolinski, who won heat number 6, who's dropped just 1 point from his last 2 rides, is going to fail to score in heat 11. And Dimitri Berger will be rubbing his hands together at this result because Smolinski is really struggling. Still close for third in the run down to the line, but no change. Josef France wins it, takes the 4 race points. Romano Hummel gets second position. Richard Hall gets 2 points for third. And Jérôme Lespinasse the single point. Martin Smolinski failing to score in heat number 11. We've seen plenty of surprises so far here tonight. That's got to be one of the biggest of them. Smolinski 9 points from his first 3 rides. Picks up nothing from heat 11. You've got to suppose that that's a mechanical problem for Smolinski because a rider of that class doesn't trail in at the back as adrift as he was in that one. France wins it then, 4 points on the board. Romano Hummel second for 3. Richard Hall 2 points in third. Jérôme Lespinasse the single point. And Martin Smolinski fails to score in heat number 11. So progressively, that powers Josef France up in terms of the leaderboard overall. That's an important result for France. He needed that one. He was on 4 points from his first 3 rides and picks up a first race victory there in heat number 11. Romano Hummel moves on to 13. Martin Smolinski, though, remains on 9, and that's going to leave him pretty far back in terms of seeding positions to the semi-finals. He should still make it through, although there's one round of races still to go, of course, and Smolinski's going to need a big result at that stage. Take another look at what happened there in heat number 11 and how it all went wrong for Martin Smolinski. Gate number 2 in blue. It was so far so good at this stage, but Smolinski left slightly adrift around the first 2 turns, boxed out by the rider in red. Lespinasse had the outside line. Smolinski tried the inside and it didn't work for him. Now we move on with heat number 12. Jesse Mustonen going off the inside for this one. Only 1 point from 3 rides so far. Unless he picks up some decent points here, he's going out. Likewise, Stefan Katz, who goes off gate 4 in yellow. Gate 2 in blue, it's Dimitri Berger. 10 points, just 2 points dropped from 3 rides so far. Gate 3 in white, Theo Piper, he's on 5. Kat and James Shanes completing the lineup. Shanes after a retirement while in a point-scoring position in heat number 7. Real misfortune for him, and that's left him with work to do. He was on the fringes of the top 10 coming into this 4th round. Settling in then for heat number 12. Takes rides and away they go. Shanes has made a good one from 5. Mustonen well away as well from the inside. 3 abreast around the first 2 turns. Shanes has made the wrong decision to cut back. Berger goes around the field and hits the front. It's Berger from Mustonen. Mustonen now challenged on the inside line by Theo Piper. Piper can't quite get there for second place. The outside line is the place to be. Shanes looks for the cutback off 4, hoping that Piper will be held back as he goes off in pursuit of Mustonen. Piper again goes for the outside line. Shanes again goes for the inside. Piper's going to have to be careful here, and in fact ends up going for the cutback himself off the second turn, and Piper right in the mix here in a battle with James Shanes. He's been passed by Shanes. Piper again goes for the outside. Shanes again goes for the inside. The only rider at the moment going for the inside, James Shanes, but he's made it work for him. Piper now tries to cut between 2. Great move from Theo Piper. Shanes is going to come back round him, but Piper's cleared Mustonen. Through for third position. Shanes has done something that pretty much no one else has done here tonight and made 2 passes on the inside line. The race leader, though, while the pack was held at bay by Mustonen, has pulled well clear. Berger is away and gone. Now Mustonen is under attack just for the single point. Cat drills a move down the inside into turn 1. holds the inside coming off too, but Mustonen comes round him. And you can see how far out the camera has to be to show all 5, because Dimitri Berger is away and gone. Berger takes the checkered flag. Second over the line, the rider in green. So a good ride there from James Shanes. Dimitri Berger, though, it is who takes the checkered flag and moves on to 14 points. That will be enough to see him through to the semi-final stages. James Shanes on 7 points from 4 rides. He moves a step closer with an important couple of overtaking manoeuvres there. Theo Piper behind, and Jesse Mustonen holding on ahead of Stefan Kat out at the back.
Tego nie nagrywasz.
Welcome back to Reale for the second final of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. A look at the current classification for this second final, and the focus at this stage really on the all-important top 10. Look at the battle in the second half of the standings, and you can see Theo Piper at the moment occupies the last of the qualification positions, tied with Bernd Diener and James Shanes on 7 apiece. Behind them and looking to make their way into the top 10, Richard Hall, Chris Harris, Jérôme Lespinasse, Jesse Mustonen and Stefan Kat. So important races for the riders on 5 points, who will be featuring in heat number 15, and by the time they get there, they'll have a very clear indication of exactly what they need to do, because they go head-to-head with Jérôme Lespinasse on 4, and also Jesse Mustonen, who sits on 2. So 4 of the riders who are currently outside of the qualification positions, 4 of the 5, 4 of the 6 rather, will be lining up together in heat number 15. So that is certainly one to watch. And in the meanwhile, can confirm that obviously well and truly entrenched inside the top 10. The top 5 in the current classification are all guaranteed now their positions in the semi-final stages. So Dimitri Berger, Mathieu Trésarier, Romano Hummel, Mikhail Hertel and Stefan Trésarier will all be through to the semi-final stage here tonight. And looking forward to seeing how they get on. 3 French riders already through. And home fans will obviously be hoping for a 4th in Jérôme Lespinasse, who has looked faster, it must be said, in his last couple of rides, certainly than he did in the opening final in Herxheim, coming back at them a little bit on home grass. Certainly does favour the grass tracks of France, does Jérôme Lespinasse. So the riders who are in the mix, Martin Smolinski and Josef Franz, looking good at the moment. Each have been race winners. We've had so many different race winners through the meeting so far here today. Plenty of surprises could still be in store for us. Looking in the pits there at Richard Hall, he's one of those riders who currently sits outside of the qualification positions, and as I said, it's going to be a crucial final ride for him. Heat number 15, he'll go off at gate number 4, and that's the very start position that, talking with the riders down in the paddock, they've all been saying that gate number 4 is absolutely atrocious. So Richard Hall's got to find something special from there if he wants to get in and amongst the major points. In fact, looking at the score chart, the last 5 races, nobody has finished anything better than 4th position from that gate number 4. So the riders with that gate 4 in the final round of races, Martin Smolinski in heat number 13, Stefan Trésarier in heat 14, well, he's already through, and Richard Hall in heat 15, who is going to have the hard yards to put in the 15th and final heat race. Of course, once we've got our top 10 for the semi-final stages, we'll start to whittle them down and work out the mathematics on what they need to make it through to tonight's final. There's Dimitri Berger, well, in and amongst members of his pit crew, making adjustments to his machine, although not too many are required. He's looked immaculate, just dropped 2 points from 4 rides, and Berger is the one rider who's been consistent in the 2 finals so far, as the 3-minute time allowance goes on for the first of our 5th round races, heat number 13. Look at the lineup for this one and the respective point scorings then. Stefan Kat goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. 1 point from 4 rides, and nothing that he could do here could change his fortunes. Even if he picks up the 4 race points, he's not going through to the semi-final stages. So this one is just for last-minute glory for him. Gate number 2 in blue, it's Josef Franz. He's inside the qualification positions at the moment, but he's not guaranteed to move through. So it's an important ride he's got here in blue. Gate 3 in white, Mikhail Hertel. He's got steadily fewer and fewer points as this meeting's gone on. Started off with a win, then he's had 2 second places, then a 3rd place last time out. So he wants to find some form again before the semi-final stage. He's going to be moving through to the semis, Hertel. What kind of seeding position will he be moving through with? Martin Smolinski goes off gate 4 in yellow. 9 points after an anonymous heat number 11 ride where he failed to score. That was a massive surprise. Smolinski goes in yellow. And off the very outside, it's Bernd Diener. Now, Bernd Diener is one of 3 riders who currently share the bottom 3 qualification positions. Diener, Shanes and Piper. If Richard Hall, Chris Harris or Jérôme Lespinasse come up with big final rides, they could yet knock out riders of the calibre of Diener, Shanes and Piper. So it's important for Berndina in particular here, this one, heat number 13. Riders already eliminated. Show 4, of course, the reserve who came in for a single ride, Mustonen and Kat. So here we see the rider in green, Berndina. Critical race for him. 7 points from his middle 2 rides. Heat 4, he finished second. Heat 7, he was the winner. The other 2, he's failed to score. Win or bust so far in this meeting then for Berndina. Which one will it be here? He goes off the very outside, heat number 13. Critical race here. 3 Germans off the 3 outside gates. Dina pulls back at the last moment. He settles back into line. Nervous start, Stefan Katz. 4 German riders then, and the lone Czech, Josef Franz off gate number 2. The focus on Dina from gate 5. Takes rise. Katz hasn't made a good one. Smolinski has, and he blocks out Berndina. That could be critical for the veteran. Is the rider in blue, Josef Franz, who's found form at the right time in this meeting. He hits the front. Hertel holds second. Smolinski in third, far from convincing so far. Kat on the inside line, about to be passed by Dina. There he goes, the rider in green, through for 4th position. Dina now sets off in pursuit of Smolinski. Smolinski is looking for the inside to find a way past into second. Almost got there actually on turn number 4. So maybe the inside line is coming back to the riders in the latter stages of this match. Let's see what Dina can do on the very outside. Smolinski moves to block him. Close race for third. Dina working overtime. Goes back to the inside on turn number 3. He's now going to try and roar round Smolinski on 4. It's definitely the outside that's the place to be. Smolinski's moving around from inside to out, trying to block the line. He obviously doesn't feel he has the pace in this one. He lunges down the inside from way back on Hertel for second. Hertel's going to try and come back round. Dina's doing the same on the outside line. Dina's going to gain a lot of ground here coming off turn number 2 because of Smolinski being conservative on the inside. But it looks as though Dina being blocked out by Smolinski earlier in the race has killed his momentum. And here goes Smolinski with a big handful up on the outside line. Oh, disaster for Smolinski. His bike hits Hertel. The bike goes flying over the safety fence. And that is a nasty incident. Smolinski down, Hertel down. 2 riders separated from their machines. Of course, the red lights have come straight on. Smolinski had been going for the inside line for the majority of that race. He switched it up to the outside line, and he got it all wrong coming off turn 4. He went for the Romano Hummel line. Martin Smolinski with a big impact there. And we can only hope that Martin Smolinski is okay, because he is still down on the circuit at the moment. The paramedics are with him. Welcome back then to La Reale, where we can confirm the result of heat number 13 that has been declared. The result declared in that one with Josef Franz, the race leader at the time of the stoppage, taking the 4 race points. Michael Hertel, who takes a declared second position and 3 points. Berndina is declared with 2 points and Stefan Kat with 1. Those could be 2 very important points for Berndina. There is that confirmation. Disqualification of Martin Smolinski, who of course lost control coming off turn number 4. The good news is that Smolinski was straight up. The bad news for the German is that he goes 2 successive rides without scoring because he's disqualified in that one, heat number 13. Now 9 points at the moment is enough to make it through. Martin Smolinski sits 8th position in the overall classification. And the last 2 at the moment are Shanes and Piper on 7. But it is still possible that Richard Hall or Chris Harris could come up with big results in heat number 15. That said, it is looking as though Dina and Smolinski will have done enough there on 9 points. But don't want to put the curse of the commentator on it, because it's Smolinski who at the moment is the last rider who's not safe in terms of those points standings. We had a lengthy delay here in La Reale, waiting first for Martin Smolinski to receive medical attention and then for Michael Hertel. And at the moment, just waiting for those paramedics to give us the all clear to get back underway with racing. There is the updated standings, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Smolinski's disqualification leaves him tied on points with Berndina, but Dina is ahead of Smolinski on countback because of Smolinski's disqualification. So that leaves Smolinski in the danger zone, because if Shanes, Piper, and then one of the riders from currently outside of the qualification positions, Hall or Harris, win heat number 15, that could still leave Smolinski, as I say, potentially in an eliminated position. It does seem unlikely at this stage, it must be said. The top 6 are definitely through. Dina, by my reckoning, is also through. Smolinski, after that disqualification, is going to have to sweat on the results of the remaining races, but it does still seem likely that Smolinski will have done enough to move through on 9 points. But there have been so many surprises here tonight in La Reale that I wouldn't put it past this meeting to give us another one. Great action we've had. The outside line working so well, the riders determined to go for it, but we've seen a couple of hero moves and we've seen a couple of zero moves. We saw James Shanes hitting the fence, we've seen Josef Franz hitting the fence, we saw Smolinski there going down, separated from the bike, and unfortunately it was the bike that reared back across the track and collected Michael Hertel. So the disqualification light that was on confirming Martin Smolinski's disqualification there from heat number 13, and 4 riders declared with a finish there in heat number 13. Josef Franz taking the 4 points, 3 points for Michael Hertel, 2 for Berndina, and 1 for Stefan Kat. Welcome back to La Reale, where we have a short enforced delay after a dramatic crash in the closing stages of heat number 13 involving Martin Smolinski and Michael Hertel. And what a dramatic crash it was, and I think we might be about to get the images, replay images, now that both riders are safely back up to their feet. The time allowance has been put on for heat number 14, but here are the images again, building up to it by seeing what happened in the early stages. Josef Franz had made the start. He was away. The battle was behind him. Smolinski cutting back and trying to find a way past Michael Hertel in the early stages. Hertel in white, Smolinski in yellow. Those are the two riders involved. Smolinski chasing the dirt on the outside line, desperately trying to find a way through. Here he goes. Such a turn of speed, but he's got too much speed. He clashes with the safety fence, comes off the bike altogether, and the bike just careens into the path of Michael Hertel, who comes away from it, and his bike too goes spectacularly over the fence. A nasty incident involving the pair of them, and we can only be thankful that Smolinski was back up to his feet and that Michael Hertel has been taken away from that incident. Here we're going to see it again. Smolinski is up on the outside line, back wheel first into the safety fence. It's that fine line between getting one of those heroic moves around the outside line to make overtakes and having a nasty crash like that one. Smolinski going down in spectacular fashion, and the first concern was for Smolinski, but it was Hertel who stayed down longer, and we hope that both riders are okay. We wait for news ahead of the semi-finals. Both should be moving through. Heat number 14 then, the penultimate of our qualification heat races. Inside gate in red with Mathieu Tresario, winner of his last two rides on 13 points. Gate 2 in blue, it's Theo Piper. He's one of the riders in the lower reaches of the top 10. At the moment, he and James Shanes are tied on 7. They're in the danger zone. Dimitri Berger, gate 3 in white. Just 2 drop points from 4 rides. The current championship leader who's extended that advantage so far here tonight, and even more so with Martin Smolinski's problems. Gate 4 for Stefan Tresario. He's the spoiler, really. The wild card. Romano Hummel completes our lineup off the outside gate. 13 points for him so far. Settling in then for heat number 14. Away they go. Hummel with a good one off 5. Good start from the inside as well from Mathieu Tresario. Here goes Hummel, reaching wide. It's going to be a battle coming off the second turn. Tresario's made it, but Hummel has the outside the racing line. Dimitri Berger has it too. He's trying to come through for third position. Theo Piper has the inside. Berger goes round him for third position, and Berger's going to continue that outside run. And Dimitri Berger goes for the outside and comes through for second place. And the rider in green, Romano Hummel, wasn't as brave, and Berger has come through. And so too now has Theo Piper. Romano Hummel, who excelled on that outside line earlier on here this evening to take a race victory, has been beaten up on it last lap around and drops backwards. The surprises continue to flow, but this is good news for Theo Piper. In the context of his night, he needed points from this one. Looking set to pick up 2. That'll move him on to 9. Yet another rider on 9 points, but Smolinski will be above Piper on countback, so this should be enough as things stand for Smolinski to be through, pending confirmation, of course. Now it's about the fight up front, because Berger is hunting down Mathieu Tresario ahead of the final lap. Tresario leads us, Berger in second. Berger tries to cut through. Tresario has the outside line. Berger creeping round the curve. Berger almost makes it, but Tresario has the racing line, and that should have settled it. Tresario powering back past around the outside. Berger's going to have one final effort, but Tresario, I think, is just out of reach, and Tresario has the outside line and has the 4 race points. Those two riders I would expect to see both in the final. They're on 17 points apiece at the conclusion of their programme rides. Mathieu Tresario has come back into this meeting quite brilliantly. 5 points from his first 2 rides. He's been undefeated since then. Mathieu Tresario then will go into the semi-final stages with those 17 points to his name. Remember, it's total points rather than anything else that determine the top 5 after those semi-finals. So banking points earlier in the night is absolutely critical. Tresario with a great ride. Off the inside start position. Had the best gate position in his last ride, of course, Mathieu. He made it count. Dimitri Berger second. Theo Piper gets 2 points for third. Important points that move him on to 9. Romano Hummel, the single point, moves on to 14. and Stefan Trezaria fails to score. It's been a little bit anonymous in the latter stages of the match for him. Started with 2 wins and 8 points. He scored just 3 from 3 rides since then. Building up to the action then in heat number 15, and a quick look at the lower reaches of the qualification positions. Berndina sits 7th on 9, Martin Smolinski 8th on 9, Theo Piper 9th on 9, James Shane's 10th on 7. Richard Hall and Chris Harris both line up in this one on 5, and Jérôme Lespinasse lines up in this one on 4. Any of those 3 riders could still dump James Shanes out of the competition, but Shanes himself is on the inside line, and this is a straight shootout for the final qualification positions. Theo Piper, with those 9 points incidentally, doesn't have a race win, so it is possible that 2 of the riders from this race could dump him out as well. Plenty of permutations then, if either Hall or Harris win, of course. And can find their way through. Big pressure race, this one, heat number 15. Shane's off the inside then on 7. Gate 2 in blue, Jesse Mustonen, he's on 2, he's out of the mix. Gate 3 in white is Jérôme Lespinasse. He needs all of the results to go his way here. It's still theoretically possible. He's got to win it. Hall off gate 4, and Harris off 5. Oh, and it's a jump start from Mustonen yet again. 3rd of the night from Jesse Mustonen off gate number 2. The Finnish rider is just a little bit too keen. Red lights are on. Jesse Mustonen in the blue helmet colour. We're going to see it again here. Finnish youngster. Riders looking down at the tapes. And Mustonen having a big old bite at the start line. Just receiving confirmation that Jesse Mustonen has been disqualified again for a tapes infringement. So obviously he had one warning earlier on in the night. The fact that he's already been disqualified once doesn't give him another warning, yet another tapes offence, and this time it's a straight disqualification for Jesse Mustonen. And well, tonight's been a night to forget for the Finn after such a good performance at the opening round. He'll go back with his head in his hands. It does mean that we'll get a reserve in here, and my expectation is that would be Gabriel Dubenard, the second of the reserve riders. We'll wait for official confirmation on that, but Anthony Chauffeur obviously had the first ride, so by my logic, Gabriel Dubenard will take this one. Just receiving confirmation of that now, that Gabriel Dubenard will be the rider coming in the blue helmet colour, the reserve rider. Big moment for him. Can't really be discounted. He is a home rider from this motor club, knows the circuit well, of course. Rode in the Challenge here 2 years ago. He wasn't far away from a place in the final at all. If he'd managed to make it just a couple of points more, he'd be in the World Championship, or would have been in the World Championship last year as a permanent rider. So Anthony Chauffeur, just as we... Gabriel Dubenard, really, just as we couldn't discount Anthony Chauffeur earlier in the night, and he came up with 2 points that reddened my cheeks somewhat after I'd discounted him on the start line off the very outside in Heat 8. Gabriel Dubenard is now going to try and spring the surprise in the blue helmet colour. Revised lineup for heat number 15 then. It's Shane's off the inside gate in red. Reserve rider Gabriel Dubenard comes in off 2. Jérôme Lespinasse off gate 3 in white. Richard Hall gate 4 in yellow, and Chris Harris off the outside in green. Straightforward situation for Jérôme Lespinasse. He's got to win and just hope everything else goes his way. Chris Harris and Richard Hall could both theoretically make it through with a second place, but they would need James Shanes to struggle off the inside gate, and obviously the other one of them not to win the heat. That's a little bit complicated as well. lining up then for this one. Hall or Harris with a race victory would move into a guaranteed qualification position. 2 Brits off the 2 outside gates. A shame for British fans that the 3 British riders are fighting one another for the last qualification positions here. 2 French riders in the middle of them. Jérôme Lespinasse still with theoretical hopes of qualification off gate 3 in white. Either way, if a rider just squeezes into the semis, it's massively unlikely that they're going to make the final. Heat number 15 goes Taitzer. Great start from Harris. Don't often get to say that, but Chris Harris has made a blinder off gate number 5. And now can he put in a ride to match it? James Shanes is up in 2nd position. This would be good enough for Shanes to qualify through. Shanes with 3 points would move on to 10, up above Dina, Smolinski and Piper. Shanes takes a big handful up on the outside line. It's Harris and Shanes at the moment who would be set to move through. And Theo Piper, because he hasn't got a race win, would miss out with Harris dumping him out. So Harris is where he needs to be to move through. Shanes is where he needs to be to move through. If Shanes passes Harris, that's going to leave Harris then out of the mix. So it's all going to go down to these top 2 positions in this one, heat number 15, to decide the last of the semi-final places. And we'll have to wait for official confirmation after this as well, because plenty of mental maths has been undertaken to work this out. Battle out at the back. Through comes the reserve rider Gabriel Dubenard to sit inside the point-scoring positions now. Into the final lap then. In the darkness here in La Reale. See there, Jérôme Lespinasse, his disappointment in the 2018 World Championship continues. He's been picked off by the reserve. Reserve coming in cold is going to score in the last of our qualification heat races. Coming towards the checkered flag though, massive moment for Chris Harris. He turns his night around. Could this be the start of him turning his season around? Chris Harris takes the win in heat 15. Ahead of James Shanes, who scores 3 and moves on to 10. And by my reckoning, that sends the 2 Brits through. Richard Hall will miss out on a place in the semi-final stages, as will Jérôme Lespinasse, of course, who fails to score. But now everyone gets the calculators out just to make that confirm, because by my reckoning, Chris Harris has saved his night with a victory there in heat number 15.
Number 17, Gabriel Dubenard, 1 point.
Raz, dwa, trzy, próba mikrofonu, raz, dwa.
Julien Kerr, numéro 22, 4.
T'es là pour m'en faire en mes couilles. T'es bon, bois rien. Rigole, moi je te foutrais le bon casque.
So the draw for the semi-finals then, and the first rider up to choose starting positions for semi-final number 1 is Mathieu Trésarieux, who will be going off the very outside, gate number 5. Mathieu Trésarieux, first rider to choose. Second up is Romano Hummel. This is where we find out if my mathematics are correct, and he wants the inside start position. So two differing philosophies. Hummel won his opening ride, of course, from gate number 1. And he will line up there in semi-final number 1. Joseph France, third rider to choose. And he will go for gate 2, so he too fancies a strike from the inside line. He won heat 13 from there last time out in the 5th round, of course. And it's up to Bandina, who fancies moving Joseph France out of the way, but is going to go for gate number 3. So that's our draw then for semi-final number 1 from inside to out. Romano Hummel off gate number 1 in red, Joseph France off gate 2 in blue, Bandina off gate 3 in white, and Mathieu Trésarieux off the outside gate in green. Just to confirm, for those of you viewing from home, have had the withdrawal from the meeting of Martin Smolinski, who was due to complete the lineup in semi-final number 1, and the withdrawal of Michael Hertel, who was due to line up in semi-final number 2. So unsurprisingly, after their massive crash in heat number 13, both of those riders unfortunately withdrawn from the meeting. In the case of Hertel, he'd already scored a solid 15 points, whereas Martin Smolinski was on 9. So now we're ready for the draw for semi-final number 2, and the first rider up with 17 points, joint top scorer in this meeting, Dimitri Berger. Like the rider who had first choice in semi-final number 1, Berger goes for the outside gate in the green helmet colour. Gate number 5, Dimitri Berger. And Stéphane Trésarieux, the wild card, second choice, he goes for the inside gate in red. Stéphane Trésarieux, who won heat number 5 from gate 1, goes off gate 1 again in semi-final number 2. James Shanes with the next starting position choice. Of course, all of these riders have been promoted as a result of Hertel's withdrawal, and Shanes has gone for gate 2 in blue, leaving Chris Harris with a choice. Gates 3 and 4, and he's probably going to line up right on the outside of gate number 3 anyway. So there he is, straddling the 2, Chris Harris. So we've got Stéphane Trésarieux, who goes off the inside gate in red, James Shanes, who goes off gate 2 in blue, Chris Harris, who fancies a bit of both, gates 3 and 4, and Dimitri Berger, who completes the lineup off the outside in green. semi-final stages here in La Reale for the second final of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. Just drop down to the paddock to feel the atmosphere and cover the draw. The riders choosing the outside gate as their favourite, but then after that a little bit less predictable, the inside proving second best. If you can't line up from the very outside and get the big slingshot, the riders fancy trying to dominate the first corner from the inside line. Now, a lot of permutations in the remainder of this match because of the two withdrawn riders. Smolinski obviously is not going to take up a place in the final. It is theoretically possible that Michael Hertel could unintentionally block a rider from taking a place in the final because he sits third in the point standings at the moment and 4 points clear of the first rider outside of the top 5. So we'll go through the permutations more as we get to semi-final number 2. Focus for this one then. Off the inside gate in red, Romano Hummel. Gate 2 in blue, Josef Franz. Gate 3 in white, Berndina. Got a gap off gate number 4, no rider in yellow. And completing lineup off the outside, Mathieu Tresaria. Just a slight delay for a technical thing with the starting lights, but I was just waiting to find out what that was all about. But now we're ready to go by the looks of things for semi-final number 1. Romano Hummel off 1 in red. Josef Franz, gate 2 in blue. Gate 3 in white, Berndina. Mathieu Tresaria, the very outside in green. Mathieu Tresaria already safe and through to tonight's final. Could do with the points in the context of the championship. He's made a wonderful start from the very outside. Mathieu Tresaria is first away, and Josef Franz has beaten Romano Hummel out of the jumps as well, and that's good news for Josef Franz. Chasing him down now, Romano Hummel. They've broken well clear of Berndina. A single point here and Dina would be eliminated. Should move Josef Franz a step closer. If he picks up 3 points, he'll move here on to 15, the same total that Michael Hertel finished on, of course. Hertel with a solitary race win and Josef Franz with 2. So Franz would move above Hertel in the standings. Wouldn't move above Hummel, though, of course, who sits in 3rd place. This race has settled down quite quickly, and I wonder whether the fact that it's only a 4-rider race rather than 5 has had some impact on that. Disappointment for Berndina, and in fact he got very, very close to the white line there coming around turns 1 and 2, and that might need a little bit of looking at after this race, I suspect, because that was very, very close to the white line. Remember that track limits are delineated by that white line on the inside around the lap. It's not going to affect things too much for Berndina. He is well adrift. He's not going to be moving through to tonight's grand final. Mathieu Tresaria was already confirmed as moving through, so the battle was between Franz and Hummel anyway, and it's Franz who's got a quite significant advantage as they come around turns 3 and 4 to take the checkered flag. The home crowd will be delighted with this. Mathieu Tresaria wins it. He moves on to a 21-point score. It's been a bumper night for him. 4 wins in succession. And he's taking the fight to Dimitri Berger in front of the French crowd. Mathieu Tresaria then moves on to 21. Berger, if he wants to match him, needs to win semi-final number 2. Romano Hummel moves on to 16. Josef Franz on to 15. Both above Michael Hertel, who, strictly speaking, is still 5th in the classifications, but obviously won't participate further down the line. I've just marked out Berndina then, who fails to score in that one, semi-final number 1. So a quick look at the standings then ahead of semi-final number 2, and it's Mathieu Tresaria who leads the way on 21 points, Dimitri Berger on 17, but with a ride in hand. Romano Hummel on 16, Josef Franz on 15, and Mikhail Hertel also on 15, with Tresaria, Shanes and Harris, who are outside of the qualification zone at the moment, lining up against one another in this one. Now that does quite clearly mean that the grand final positions are pretty much settled ahead of this second semi-final. Tresario's through on 21, Berger's through on 17. That we knew before the semi-final stages, that Tresario and Berger were both through. Hertel's withdrawn through injury. Hummel is on 16 and France is on 15. And Stefan Tresario on 11 is the highest scorer of the riders in this race who are currently outside of the qualification positions. Follow me so far. It's all about to become clearer. If Stefan Tresario wins this race, he will tie on points with Mikhail Hertel, 15. If he fails to do so, then only Dimitri Berger from this second semi-final will move through to tonight's grand final. So Stefan Tresario needs a win here. The rest of the grand final positions are already settled. Semi-final number 2, Stefan Tresario, big moment for his night here. A little bit of creeping off gate number 2 from James Shanes, but he's penalised himself. Berger is first away. Stefan Tresario on the inside line needs it more, but Berger rips around him. It's Tresario about to be swamped here. Up the inside of him comes James Shanes. Harris down in 4th position. Harris on 9 points coming into this one, couldn't possibly qualify. Makes a move on the inside of James Shanes, but it doesn't bear fruit. A shame about the 2 injured riders, because that really has settled the grand final positions almost before the semi-finals have taken place, and certainly now that semi-final 1 has taken place, it was already quite clear as to who was going to settle it. Stefan Tresario then was needing the race victory from this one, and he's not going to get it. Dimitri Berger clear out in front. Stefan Tresario in second. Starting to close him down now a little is James Shanes. Shanes on the outside line, off turn number 2, hunting his man. It's only going to make a difference in the context of championship points overall, of course. No team tactics from the French riders, who could have got Stefan Tresario out in front, but of course he's a wild card, and Berger needs the points in the context of the series overall. Individual action, even if the home fans would have been delighted to see 3 French riders and a guaranteed French rider on the podium here tonight. I suspect they might well get 2 anyway. We'll find out in a few moments' time. Semi-finals have been a damp squib in the end because of those withdrawn riders. Send our best wishes to Mikhail Hertel and Martin Smolinski. But it's Dimitri Berger who wins in semi-final number 2. He matches Mathieu Tresario. They're still tied on 21 points apiece. Second place goes the way of Stefan Tresario, but the 3 points mean he finishes on 14, and 1 point still adrift of Mikhail Hertel's total of 15. James Shanes behind, and Chris Harris out at the back in that one, likewise eliminated. So by my reckoning at least, and all awaiting official confirmation of course, Mathieu Tresario on 21 and Dimitri Berger on 21 will move through. Romano Hummel will move through on 16 after his 2-point score in semi-final number 1. Josef Franz moves through to the final as well on 15, and Mikhail Hertel, although he's withdrawn, still takes the 5th position in this meeting. All waiting for official confirmation, but by my reckoning, Stefan Tresario failing to win that semi-final number 2 sees him eliminated here tonight.
aller à la finale de la catégorie Espoir Julien Kerr. Au couloir numéro 6.
He's Romano Hummel on 16, Josef Franz and Michael Hertel on 15. And as I said before we got underway with that semi-final two, Stefan Tresaria needed a race victory to eliminate Michael Hertel. Out he goes by failing to do so, taking only second place. Stefan Tresaria is eliminated. Likewise, at the semi-final stages, we lost James Shanes, Berndina and Chris Harris. But the best performance of the season so far for Harris in particular. That's the first time we've seen him really shine in his fifth heat race. Martin Smolinski eliminated after his withdrawal from the meeting. And of course, Michael Hertel, after his withdrawal from the meeting, will not feature in the grand final either, leaving us with a 4-rider race to round out proceedings here at the second final of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship in La Reale. Welcome back to La Reale for the draw here for the grand final. Second final of 2018. Mathieu Tresaria, the first rider to choose starting position. He's gone for the very outside, gate number 5. Dimitri Berger has already made it clear he knows what starting position he's on. He's got the red race bib on there, Dimitri Berger, going off gate number 1. Romano Hummel, gate number 2 in blue. And the last choice, either gate 3 or gate 4 for Josef Franz. And he has gone for white, gate 3. So it's Dimitri Berger in red, Romano Hummel in blue, Josef Franz in white, and Mathieu Tresaria off the very outside in green. Well, no great surprises there that the first choice went for the very outside, the second choice went for the very inside. Romano Hummel going for gate number 2 this time. Now remember that Josef Franz managed to get across the front of him off gate 2 in semi-final number 1. Franz has beaten Hummel once. Can he do so to get on the podium again here in the grand final? On paper, you'd say this is a shootout between Berger and Tresaria for the meeting victory, and a separate battle between Hummel and Franz for third position on the podium. But we have seen plenty of surprises so far here tonight. Large crowds here in La Reale. They've been treated to some absolutely outstanding examples of long track racing. A track that has provided plenty of passing with a deep outside line that's only for the brave. Mathieu Tresaria, obviously, by starting off the very outside, is hoping that he can make that slingshot around the outside and hit the front. Dimitri Berger is the man who's going to try and stop him from the inside gate. And then Romano Hummel and Josef Franz between them are the spoilers for this one. Josef Franz, who finished runner-up in the 2016 challenge here, had a disastrous meeting here in 2017. The reigning world number 3. Josef Franz, twice a grand final winner. He'll be lining up off gate 3 in the white helmet colour. So a look at the lineup in full then for this grand final. Dimitri Berger of the inside start position in red. Berger, the current championship leader, really looked absolutely superb at the opening round in Germany. He's looked similarly superb so far here tonight. Back in FIM World Championship competition for the second time this month, of course, represented France in the Speedway of Nations earlier this month, the French pairing. Pretty unfortunate, actually, to miss out on a shot at qualification after a mechanical failure for Berger in the penultimate elimination race. Berger, who recently signed by the Red Car Bears in the Speedway GB Championship, now getting far more regular track time, Berger. Also riding well for Bydgoszcz in Poland. Very accomplished Speedway performer is Dimitri Berger, but as far as long track, still waiting for his first World Championship, back in the World Championship full-time this year. And for him, at this stage, it's about keeping his head and keeping his consistency, because it's been the consistency in the past that has let Berger down. He's always been the man for the big occasion. So Dimitri Berger then, the current championship leader, will go off the inside. Romano Hummel, who won at Maurice S last season, took his first career win at Maurice S down the road last season. So this type of track won't faze him. He will be going off gate 2 in blue. Josef Franz, a veteran, goes in white. 5 career podiums to his name, looking to add another here this evening. And the very outside gate in green, completing our lineup, will be Mathieu Trésarieux, the reigning world champion. Only 2 grand final wins to his name so far. He's had 15 podium finishes in the long track world championship, and what now is turning into a long career, 32 years of age, Mathieu Trésarieux. But my point is, he's been a world champion, but he's only had 2 grand final wins in his career so far. He'd dearly love another one here. Master of consistency at this level, particularly on home ground here in France. And as I said in an interview with Mathieu earlier on here this evening, winner for the last 2 seasons. For the record, in the 2016 Long Track Challenge and in the World Championship final, the first World Championship final here in Reale last season, when he dropped just 2 points all meeting. He's dropped fractionally more than that here tonight. He's dropped 3 points in total. He was beaten in each of his first 2 rides from the very outside gate in heat number 1, when he scored 3, beaten by Romano Hummel, and 2 points in heat number 5, beaten by Stéphane Trésarieux and James Shanes. But since then, 4 rides in a row have seen Mathieu Trésarieux come out victorious. He's the big favourite for this one. He's got the gate that everyone wants as well. Gate number 5. Last 3 races in succession have been won from there. A run started by Chris Harris in heat 15, and the 2 semi-finals were both won from that outside gate, albeit with the top rider in the leaderboard picking the outside gate. So statistically, that's more probable. But that's the way it panned out in the semi-final stages. And Mathieu Trésarieux hopes that that's the way it'll pan out in the grand final as well. 4 riders battling for 3 places on the podium. Berger, Hummel, Franz and Trésarieux for the final, coming in a couple of moments' time. Riders receiving the push off then for tonight's grand final. The riders coming out onto track for this one. 4 riders only, of course. Got a vacant slot off where Michael Hertel was due to line up. Gate number 4, effectively. with Mathieu Tresaria lining up on the outside of that. Hertel, withdrawn injured, has missed 2 rides, missed his second semi-final but has made the final nonetheless, and now misses the final. So 2 point scoring opportunities dropped by him on a night where he'd performed well, and by no fault of his own, of course, with Smolinski's bike wiping him out. Lineup confirmed for the final. Dimitri Berger off the inside gate in red, Romano Hummel gate 2 in blue, Josef Franz in white gate 3, Mathieu Tresaria completing the lineup off the outside gate in green. Here we go. Building up to this one. For the record, the championship standings see Dimitri Berger lead by 12 coming into this race. Scored 12 points more than Mathieu Tresaria in Herxheim. And of course, the pair have been matched evenly here tonight, 21 points apiece. Martin Smolinski dropping down on to 29 points, tied with Berndina and James Shanes. And Josef Franz on 29 points as well. So France should move third in the world after this race, because we're down to 4 riders only. So as long as he finishes, he's guaranteed at least a point. Still a long way to go in this 2018 season. It's the pair of Dutch rounds for Final 3 and Final 4 before the decider in Muldorf in the latter stages of this 2018 campaign. Still got a trip to Morizet, another visit to France for the Long Track World Team Championship to come. 4 riders only then for tonight's grand final. Dimitri Berger in red, Romano Hummel in blue, Josef Franz in white, and Mathieu Tresaria in green. And it's the 2 French riders who made the start. Tresaria does the job off gate 5. Berger goes straight up to the outside line. Knows he's going to have to pursue, but he's blocked out by Hummel. Through comes Romano Hummel into second place. Josef Franz stuck out at the back at the moment, covering the inside line. And it's Romano Hummel who is surprising Dimitri Berger at the moment. Berger going up as wide as he dares, but he's in a cloud of dust coming off turn 4, and he has to cut out of it, because frankly I doubt he could see where he was going. Mathieu Tresaria is your race leader. Romano Hummel has already performed heroics on that outside line, making overtakes earlier in the night. Can he pull off another? 2 race victories already to his name, but it's Mathieu Tresaria who came into this race with 4 successive victories, who looks set to make it a 5th. And show just why he became the world champion last year, to haul himself back into championship contention. And in the context of the series overall, I'm sure he'll be quite pleased that Romano Hummel sits up in second place, because it means he takes something at very least away from Dimitri Berger here tonight. It'll only be 2 points gained, but the gap at the top of the championship standings will be down to 10. Into the final lap then, Mathieu Tresaria leads us, Romano Hummel in second, Dimitri Berger in third, trying to hunt him down. That's the closest fight, second and third, but it looks largely settled. And Josef Franz is way away out at the back. Disappointment for him. He fails to add to his career podium tally, but he's done well to make it into the top 5, and he's been consistent in the opening 2 rounds. Not nearly as consistent as Mathieu Tresaria here tonight, and it's Tresaria who makes it 5 wins in succession to take his 3rd career victory in the FIM Long Track World Championship, his 16th career podium. And the 32-year-old from just down the road in Bordeaux, one of the home favourites here tonight, has come up trumps in front of his local crowd. And the party will go long into the night here in La Reale for Mathieu Tresaria. Loves this circuit. Winner here in 2016, winner here in 2017, and makes it the hat-trick of FIM victories here in La Reale in 2018. And in the process gains back 2 points on his fellow countryman, Dimitri Berger. Berger will be frustrated that he's fallen at the final hurdle again, having been second best to Martin Smolinski in the opening round of the season. But in the context of the series overall, Berger is doing the job. Top scorer in Herxheim, only 2 points short of Mathieu Tresaria here tonight. Enough to ensure that Berger leaves as the 10-point series leader. Confirmation of the result of the final then. It's Mathieu Tresaria who wins for 4, Romano Hummel for 3, Dimitri Berger for 2. Josef Franz misses out on a place on the podium in 4th position. Fantastic meeting, great racing throughout. A shame really that the semi-finals and final turned into a bit of an anti-climax, just the way that the things panned out, but we'll be able to look back at the heat stages for some absolutely outstanding races that will be among the most memorable of this campaign, no doubt about that. Memorable night for Matteo Tresaria as well. Is this the moment that he turns around his 2018 campaign? 5 race victories in a row to confirm this World Championship final victory. And there is a look at tonight's point scoring. Matteo Tresaria, meeting winner and top scorer. Romano Hummel gets second in the final, 19 points. Dimitri Berger third with 23. And Josef Franz just missing out on a place on the podium there after defeat at the hands of Dimitri Berger. He was adrift in the end. 2 French riders onto the podium, and I think the local crowd will be satisfied with that. They would have been disappointed that Stéphane Tresaria couldn't quite make it into the top 5. It would have given us an even bigger grand final race. We do send our best wishes to the injured Mikhail Hertel and Martin Smolinski, who both made it through to the semi-final stages, of course, and we hope for a swift recovery for both riders and that they will be able to join us in Roden next time out in the Netherlands for final number 3. Podium here in La Reale coming next.
Raz, dwa, trzy, raz, dwa, trzy. Próba mikrofonu.
in a row to win the meeting. Your championship is back on track.
Yeah, I am back on the track. You know, no mini meeting before that, so it was hard to get on, you know, to get ready. But I make some good start and I have some good speed. So my confidence is up now. So I think we'll be good for the rest of the Grand Prix.
Until the final race there, it looked as though even though you were riding brilliantly, you weren't going to gain back any points on Dimitri, who was brilliant all night. But in that final day, you picked up a couple of points. 10 points is now the gap.
Yeah, you know, I do my best every heat. I need a point because I don't have a first good Grand Prix, you know. So this track I know, and you see, fifth time now I win this meeting. So I want to make some good points on this meeting, and I do it. So thanks to my team and mechanic, because I do also a great job.
Many congratulations.
Thank you.
Mathieu Tresario then, our meeting winner here in La Reale. We've also got Dimitri Berger, the other French rider, to have taken a major haul of points here tonight. Dimitri, fantastic performance from yourself this evening. You lost 2 points to Mathieu, but now a 10-point championship lead. You must be pleased.
Yeah, I'm really happy with my performance today. You know, it was really hard meeting. It was really about to start, you know, because if you don't make a start, it's only one line here, so it's pretty hard to pass after. But yeah, I make a good start, and it was a tough first corner, and can't pass Reale, and so yeah. But I'm really happy with today.
Just like in Herxheim, you've scored a big number of points. You've shown plenty of consistency. You couldn't quite win in the final, but as I say, in the context of the championship, I know you've not won tonight, but you've done another good job in the context of the series overall.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's 5-1 round, so yeah, you need to be consistent. And I don't won again tonight, but I make a good point, so this is the more important.
Many congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Dimitri Berger, and we're just going to see if we can get Romano Hummel to come and join us here. And Romano, great performance from yourself in the final tonight. It wasn't easy to beat either Mathieu or Dimitri. You managed to beat Dimitri and take a good second place.
Yeah, it was good. I have a good start, and then I go to the outside, and I don't know what is behind me, so I do not look. It's not my fucking problem, yeah.
So obviously some frustrations about the final there.
Yeah, no, for me no frustration. It's his frustration, not my frustration. I keep calm. Next month we are in Groningen, and then it's my town, so we will see.
Okay, well, thank you very much for speaking to us, Romano. Obviously some tension about what happened in the final there, and I must admit that I didn't notice anything at the time that was too far astray, but Dimitri Berger is obviously a little bit upset. I can only presume about the first corner, quite honestly. Because after that there wasn't too much wasn't too much proximity between the two riders. Thereafter, Romano Hummel had it covered. Opportunity to just cover off a little bit about the championship standings. Josef Franz, Berndina and Martin Smolinski all packed pretty closely together now for third in the series, but Smolinski has dropped 19 points back from Dimitri Berger, who finishes in third position here this evening, but is your series leader by a significant 10-point margin. Dimitri Berger, third position here this evening. As I said, 21 massive points during the stages to make it through to tonight's grand final. So another big scoring evening for Dimitri Berger. 2 race wins during the heats, another win in semi-final number 2. Hummel walks straight past Dimitri Berger on the podium as he goes to second place, awarded the garlands by today's FIM jury president Tony Steele, representing the ACU Great Britain. And your meeting winner here tonight is Mathieu Tresario. Fantastic performance from him. First couple of rides, he looked as anonymous as he had in Herxheim, where he didn't really have things go his own way. But here tonight, home ground, Mathieu Tresario very much back on top. and his third career FIM Long Track World Championship final victory. Also crucial in the context of his 2018 championship overall. He's hoping that the defence of his crown starts here in the south of France, because Herxheim was a write-off for him, to be completely honest. Romano Hummel receives his trophy for second position here tonight, a hard-fought second position. A meeting where, like Mathieu Trésarieux, after the opening round in Herxheim, Hummel really had to get things back on track. Two youngsters either side of Mathieu Trésarieux, undoubtedly the future of the Long Track World Championship, but Mathieu Trésarieux showing that he is still the present, the reigning champion, representing France and making it onto the top step of the podium here in France tonight. We're hoping for this evening. It looked like a head-to-head between Dimitri Berger and Mathieu Trésarieux for the final. In the end, Romano Hummel getting between them. Dimitri just saying a few words over the public address system here tonight. Dimitri just saying that in the final there was only one fast line, really. But he was very happy with third position, his place on the podium, and in the context of the championship as well. Great performance from Dimitri Berger here tonight.
Are you satisfied about this place? Est-ce que vous êtes satisfait de cette deuxième place?
Yeah, it was a good race and a good final, good start, so yeah, keep going.
Voilà, je suis content, bien évidemment, j'ai fait de bons départs, donc je suis content de terminer deuxième. Congratulations, et Mathieu Trésarieux sur la plus haute marche du podium.
And a few words from Mathieu Trésarieux in French as well.
Oui, on va dire que c'était mon plus dur à la Reale quand même. Ça fait 5 fois que je viens ici, d'affilée 5 fois que je gagne. Et bon, mais ça quand même, tu vois, ça me tenait à cœur. Et c'était un peu le plus difficile quand même, enfin pas un peu, beaucoup même. La piste était difficile, les pilotes avaient tous un bon niveau.
So Mathieu Trésarieux just explaining that this is the 5th time he's come here to La Reale and the 5th time that he's come out as victor. Says it has been the most difficult though, undoubtedly. The track was a challenge, plenty of strong riders as his competitors. So Mathieu Trésarieux lifts the trophy here in La Reale. Second different winner of the 2018 campaign. But it's a rider who stands alongside Mathieu Trésarieux and Romano Hummel, who leads the series heading to the Netherlands next time out, Dimitri Berger.
Alors Mathieu Trésarieux, Mathieu, on a encore une coupe, la coupe de la ville. Mathieu, désolé, voilà, on a encore une coupe de la ville, remise par Régis Valanzo. Monsieur Marty, qui est à nos côtés, il est resté à nos côtés, Monsieur Marty, avec son adjointe. Voilà, la coupe de la ville à Mathieu Trésarieux. Les élus sont là pour soutenir ce club et soutenir Mathieu Trésarieux, le champion du monde 2017, Mathieu Trésarieux. Merci. Merci beaucoup.
Le